Good evening, Twitch chat. Hello to our League of Legends fans of all ages, shapes, sizes, genders, and ELOs. Welcome back to the League of Style. Our entertainment for you tonight will be another upper bracket semifinal, this time from the Noxian division. 4-seed Dreamland Esports will look to upset 2-seed Bedtime at 7 for a slumbering showdown, as both teams fight for a spot in the grand finals, a chance at glory, as well as the first place prize money of 150 US dollars. On their last excursion onto the Rift here in the Style League, Dreamland was able to demonstrate their ability to take down opponents above them in seeding by sending the number one team in Noxus down to the lower bracket with a decisive 2-0. Dreamland top laner Kuro the Divine had extremely strong performances in both games. In Game 2 on Lilia, he went 9-1-6 and ended the game 6,000 gold ahead of his lane opponent. On the other side of the field, Bedtime at 7 made it to the semis by triumphing over the number 3 seed Caps Academy with a 2-0 of their own. Bedtime ADC Asylum Speedrun got Caitlyn 2 games in a row for a combined KD of 20-6. I am, of course, your humble host and play-by-play Chris Crewman. My co-caster tonight is the tremendous Tiger58. Great to be back here with you again, my friend. What do you think tonight's match has in store for us?
Well, this one's a little bit of a late one, and that's very appropriate for these two teams, although it may be past the bedtime of bedtime at 7. I think that even on the West Coast, it is now after 7, so maybe they are going to be sleeping on Dreamland, but we'll see what comes up here. Two of the top teams in this division. I wouldn't be surprised to see a rematch of this one in the finals, so definitely going to be important to find out what the meta is, what the picks are going to be between these two teams, and looks like Udyr priority for your gynecologist is the
Look
call.
at that. Yes, the Udyr. It's definitely something that's been seeing quite a bit of play in solo queue recently. You know, everybody, I think, has experienced by now the glass cannon Udyr running around with Awakened Q, trying to one-shot everyone. So I'm sure that will be the play here as well. A very bold first pick, though. See what Dreamland is going to respond with. The Hecarim off the table, so that will not be an option. The Lilia, another four-legged jungler potentially making her way in here.
Yeah, Lilia definitely going to be doing well on the clear speed front. I still think that right now we're at a point where junglers are feeling pretty confident to do full clears. I don't think that Udyr has the kind of pressure where if he's allowed to invade, he's going to like get kills on the enemy jungler very easily. And even at that, Lily is pretty difficult to lock down, so I think that going for the full clear type Lilia here makes a lot of sense. There is some flexibility in both of these picks towards the top lane, but I'm not expecting to see that from either of these teams.
Yeah, certainly. I think the full clears are likely, but we'll just have to see what the rest of the draft looks like first. It is going to be the Caitlyn once again here. It's actually, yeah, it will be for Asylum Speed, or no, it's taken away from Asylum Speed Runs, Bedtime AD carry. So the Caitlyn denied. So we'll not be able to pilot that one again. Let's see what he wants to pick into it.
Yeah, gonna be a pretty aggressive bot lane pick for Dreamland. We'll see if they can use that to get advantages early on in the game. They could be looking to pair that with the Lux, which is always my favorite support because I am a Lux one trick and she's awesome.
Of
But
course, of
I
course.
think that Caitlyn Lux, as far as competitive is concerned, is always a very threatening early game bot lane. And it's been blind picked in some recent matches that I've seen and had some success there. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Lux does get locked in as that R3 pick.
Yeah, definitely. You know, some other strong pairings with the Caitlyn as well, but Luck's probably the oldest and the most famous. So could definitely be seeing the Lady of Light making her way onto the Rift as well. It's going to be the Fiora, though, for Montoya in the top lane. Inigo Montoya himself. Let's see what the last pick of the first round is going to be for Bedtime. It will be the mid laner, so the entire top side locked in now for Bedtime at 7, leaving their bot lane duo for later on in the draft. See what Dreamland is going to be rounding things out with. Most likely a support to pair alongside their Caitlyn, or they could leave their own. If they could potentially go for a support counter pick, if they wanted to do
Love
something
to
like that.
go. I'd love to see a top counter pick here. Pick something into
Mm,
the Fiora. Maybe pick like a Shen that's going to have some usefulness around the map, and then go into the second half of the draft and get that counter pick for mid lane as well. And then you would even have room to get counter pick on support. So there could have been 3 counter picks in a row coming down there. It's still a possibility if the Xerath has some flexibility towards mid lane,
yeah.
but having a poke lane with Caitlyn and Xerath definitely seems like a possibility as well.
Yeah, that was my first instinct when the Xerath was locked in, but we'll have to wait and see. Bedtime at 7 likely going to be banning away solo laners if they also expect the Xerath to be going towards support, but let's take a look. It's only the Ezreal removed so far by Dreamland for the second ban phase. Makes sense to be targeting some marksman champions since that is the position that Bedtime at 7 obviously has not picked yet.
Yeah, I think that will be the trend here. Maybe going to be a Sivir ban as well. Uh, or it could be a more specific ban to help Caitlyn get into a good matchup. I was thinking that the Sivir would be the pick just to make sure that we're checking the pool of Jinja Ninja 67, but gonna be the Seraphine instead, trying to deny even more potential security in lane. With both the Ezreal and Seraphine bans, it's going to have to be something that can contest a little bit harder. It's not going to be an allowed sustain lane, it looks like.
Well, there is a certain cat that is still available, so we can't rule out the sustain just yet. Let's see what this last ban from Bedtime is going to be. Likely another jungler, perhaps. They expect the Lilia to be going top lane, maybe. This is something that Nigo, or no, something that Kuro the Divine, of course, did pull out in their win in the previous round of the playoffs. So they're gonna hedge their bets a little bit here with the Aatrox ban.
Yeah, covering all their bases here a little bit. I'm going to be looking to make sure that the Lilia does go into that top lane, but that they're not getting full cleared by a different jungler. I think that picking something sound in the top lane. I'm still on that Shen. I think Shen top here is pretty good. I think that
Yeah.
now's the right time to pick top lane as well, since you already know what it's into. So I'm hoping it'll be either Shen or maybe something safe like a Malphite or Ornn that's going to be effective no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, Shen is really good on teams with Caitlyn because he really supports playing around that bot lane. It's the strong side of the map, but it will be the mid lane lock in, actually. So, it's still possibilities for keeping the Lilia flex alive, then, is what Dreamland gets out of picking things in this order. It does mean, of course, that the Xerath will be going into the support role, as we had previously assumed. The Victor is an interesting pick into the Cassio. Do you feel like that's a very strong matchup for the Victor, Tiger?
I think that it's a pretty scaling heavy matchup for both sides. I think
Yeah.
Cassiopeia should win any all ins that happen early on, especially if the Petrifying Gaze can connect. There's some potential setup for ganks there. You can land the ground with her Miasma, and then Udyr can come in with the Flash Bear Slap. I'm not sure if it's still a bear slap. I think it still is. I think since it's now based on the demigods of Freljord, that the stun is the Vola bear slap, so it is still a flash bear slap. But whatever the case, getting that stun in and setting up the kill in the mid lane is definitely a possibility. And then the DPS from Cassiopeia is pretty good as well, so they're going to be looking at a lot of opportunities to take objectives, especially the Baron once the 20-minute mark comes down.
Yeah, definitely seems like a pretty strong 2v2 for Bedtime. And then the Ashe will be the lock-in the bot lane. So a supportive utility marksman for Asylum speedrun down there. Assuming they've lined up in the client as Jinja Ninja being the AD carry and Asylum speedrun being the support. So we may actually have a little bit of a pivot for Asylum speedrun playing a different role this week. But regardless, it will be the Ashe in the bot lane for Bedtime at 7. And I do think this goes pretty well with their aggressive top side of the map, right? And then R5, the top lane pick. It will be top lane pick last for Kuro. and he's going with the Pirate Tiger, Gangplank into the Fiora.
Yeah, I think Gangplank's pretty good here. I think that into a Fiora matchup, avoiding the CC and going for more damage is always a viable option. However, for the team comp as a whole, that means that Dreamland are going to be in some trouble where they scale up to not have any frontline. They've got a ton of poke, so they do still have some things going in their favor if we get to the late game. But I think that if we're in that late game stage, we are going to see Bedtime at 7 with those opportunities to take the Baron really quickly because they've got
Yeah.
3 times DPS with Ashe, Cassiopeia, and Fiora. And they're going to have a hard time being forced off of it because Dreamland can only poke them, not team fight. But if Dreamland is ahead, having that poke ability, having the extra range on all of their champions is going to be quite oppressive.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great summary, Tiger. They're almost all ranged champions, actually, for Dreamland. I guess Lilia's technically melee now, and Gangplank also is technically melee, but he tends to play at range and mostly fight with his Q. But yeah, it's a very aggressive composition from Dreamland, right? Like, if it falls behind, as you're saying, they're not going to have a very good time forcing their way in towards objectives to try to contest. And there's a lot of danger of flank angles. Like, if Udyr gets on top of anybody really on this team, he's gonna one-shot him probably. It could always be the tank Udyr build as well, but I feel like it's pretty unlikely given the prevalence of the damage Udyr that we've been seeing recently.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dreamland's comp, and the one thing that they have going for them outside of the poke is their zone control is really good as well. They've got Gangplank barrels that are hard to walk into. They've got the Victor W that can stun people up, draw them in, and let them get hit by all the AoE. They've got even the Lilia bowling ball is going to do a pretty good job. So
Caitlyn traps.
Securing the choke point. Yeah, exactly. And if they can secure those choke points, then they're going to have some success here.
Yeah, that could be really big for them if they just make it to the objective first and are able to set up. Then their composition definitely very good at holding ground. But that is easier said than done, right? Like, there's no way that they're going to be first to every objective. So we'll just have to see if they are able to find that early advantage. They do have some scaling as well, right? But it just can be difficult to fight in the later stages if you do fall behind early. It looks like we have some technical difficulties here, guys, with the client draft, but should be getting back into it shortly here.
Yeah, I wanted to take another look at Bedtime at 7's comp after thinking a little bit further about it. I think what they need to do in the early game is to be disruptive. They just need to get Dreamland off their game. Dreamland just wants to full clear everything, clear out waves, get pressure in the bot lane with this Caitlyn Xerath pair, and then go from the level 6s onward with an advantage. But there's a lot of things here that Bedtime at 7 can use to disrupt that. They've got the Udyr, which has some good early ganking potential. They've got Amumu, which is good at roaming, and can also help on a potential invade. They've got Ashe, which once you get to level 6, you can start raining arrows all over the map. I really like what they've done here as a response to what Dreamland came out with early. And Dreamland is putting a lot of eggs in the carries baskets to pick that Gangplank. It really makes their comp a lot more thrive or die.
Yeah, volatile, I think is the word you're looking for there. Definitely agree. It's a very aggressive R5 pick from Dreamland, coming out from Kuro there. This is something, the plank is actually what he piloted in the first game of their previous match win. It was the plank in the first game and then Lilia in the second game. So this is something that Kuro is pretty comfortable on and has found success with before. But it doesn't necessarily fit with the it doesn't balance out the composition, rather, I guess we should say, because it does augment, as we've been discussing, some of the strengths that the composition already had. but it will not provide them any structure in team fights or any kind of front line really or anything like that. And I do think that over on the side of Bedtime at 7, I completely agree with
End of the
what you were
round.
saying about how intelligent that B4 and B5 picks were. The bot lane lock-ins for Bedtime at 7, I think really complements the rest of what they already had very, very nicely. Being able to support, such strong carries in the Fiora and the Cassio, I think is really valuable. But so, and you're discussing, Tiger, that the side of Bedtime at 7 needs to be finding early action. Suggested some ways that they could go about it. But what do you think would be maybe the best course or the best place for them to look in terms of finding those early leads and causing that early chaos?
I think that the best place that they can try to start taking some early advantage is the mid lane. If they can get some roams from Asylum speedrun coming out, if they can get some of those Ash arrows to connect towards the mid lane, even if they can just get a normal gank off of your gynecologist's Udyr, then they're going to have opportunities to try to pressure out the sums and then eventually go for kills onto this Victor. I
Yeah.
do think that they're going to scale up better. So if they don't find disruptions early on, that's not the end of the world, but it could just be a little bit difficult of a game for them if they let the poke start to get advantages. They're going to naturally fall behind in the bot lane. They're going to naturally fall behind in the top lane because Gangplank just generates gold for himself.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult for your gynecologist to keep up in CS, keep up in pathing with the Lilia picked here by Mons. So I think that they're going to be in a position where if they can make that happen, they'll almost guarantee that they win. But if they don't make that happen, then they're going to have to play very safely and very securely to make sure that they get that opportunity to scale.
Yeah, definitely. And you need to be so clean with your engages against a composition like this, right? That has so much range. If you mess up and somebody gets caught out and chunked out like at the very start of a fight, that can be deadly. So definitely gonna have to play things out cleanly, especially if they don't find that early advantage, as you were just describing. And Kuro on the Gangplank, I really think this is a champion and a player that we have to keep a close eye on. I'm sure he picked it for a reason. It's an aggressive pick, but I'm sure he's confident on this champion. So we'll see if he is able to find a significant advantage against Inigo Montoya up there in the top lane. But overall, Tiger, do you favor one of these compositions? I need your game one prediction, sir.
I'm going to give it. It's just 60% towards Bedtime at 7. Both of
Mm-hmm.
the comps seem to be pretty
Ah.
decently put together. There's a lot of opportunities here for Dreamland Esports, and I don't think that they have a bad comp. But Bedtime at 7's, in the end of the day, has a little bit more security, so I'm going to slightly favor them.
All right. Yes, we have, of course, Bedtime at 7 on the blue side for game one, Dreamland on the red. And we'll be right back with tonight's semifinal right after a short break, guys. Don't go anywhere. everyone. Welcome to Summoner's Rift for Game 1 of the night. As I mentioned before, we do have Bedtime at 7 on the blue side, facing off against Dreamland Esports on the red. This is the battle for the finals. Whoever wins tonight, this best of 3, will be able to punch their ticket and will lock top 2 at the end of the tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty impressive feat. I kind of feel like this is going to be the predecessor to the final. I don't want to count all the other teams
Yeah.
out just yet, but if this is to be that, then it's kind of like a double best of 3 series. So I'm looking forward throughout, if this does end up being the finals, to see how the series develops in the sense of both series, is not just this one semifinal matchup.
Yeah, well, the finals will be a best of 5 there, Tiger. So, couple additional games in there, but certainly your point is well taken. That obviously these are some of the best teams in the division, and there is a very significant chance that tonight's battle will not be the last time they face off against one another. But tonight's battle is, of course, where we should focus our attention for the time being. We do have both junglers starting on their respective red buffs, so our clears will be reversed for game 1. Udyr pathing towards the top lane, and Lilia pathing down towards her pushing Caitlyn Xerath.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for the full clear. Gonna be having the pressure to contest the Scuttle Crab if they were to meet up.
Well, that's a bandage toss connecting for Asylum speedrun. We're gonna get some good damage down here as they find level 2 advantage. Ignite comes down as well, and Goku not even gonna expend a flash, just drops. And that's first blood very early for Bedtime at 7, and it's gonna go straight into the pockets of the marksman. Inquest with a flash follow for Baran. And seconds later, it is Dreamland that tie up that scoreboard at 1-1. The top laner's already going at it as well.
Yeah, some early action here. I think that with the Amumu setting up that first blood, Jinja Ninja is going to be in a much better position to contest the rest of this lane. I'm looking forward to seeing the first resets, seeing what the comparison of gold is going to be. If a counter kill can come through here, though, that would completely neutralize the early advantage, and that's what Debbie and Brother Goku are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got their jungler now in the area as well, so Mons could be looking to make a play down in the bottom lane as well in the near future. Just finishing up the full clear right now. Scuttle Crabs spawning in. Udyr has got his full clear done already. He's looking in the top lane, going to get the stun down onto Crew of the Divine. Gangplank holding on to the flash for now. Now we'll expend it to get underneath the tower. And that was Ghost off the Udyr in exchange for the flash off the Gangplank. That's a great trade for Bedtime.
There's going to be a gank in the bot lane here, but it's going to be spotted on a ward.
All right, here comes Lilia. It's a silent speedrun going in to try and peel away Debbie. Buy a little bit more space for Jinja Ninja. Volley comes out, gets the slow onto all 3. They're going to be able to walk it out. Dodges the Peacemaker as well. Oh, moving forward aggressively now. Jinja Ninja has the slows. He's got the lead tempo fully stacked. And silent speedrun going back in with the bandage toss. Just barely flashing forward. Jinja Ninja gets another kill. He's looking for Debbie as well. He's going to get the double. But in the end, it will be Mons who claims 2 back. So another bloody scrap in the bot lane ends in a 2-for-2.
Yeah, and another gank coming through in the top lane.
Oh, dear. And Kuro, no flash this time. He's got some oranges, so he's going to try to heal, but Montoya flashes in there and picks himself up the first of the game.
Crewman, that's not Udyr. It's Udyr in the top lane. Gonna be able to collect on that flash blown under the tower. Kuro the Divine gonna go down. Things are going well early on. Even outplaying the 2v2 gank, albeit trading it 2-for-2. But in the bot lane, Jinja Ninja and Asylum speedrun doing really well. And it's the first back noon quiver for Jinja Ninja.
Really massive. Yeah, that's a big lead he's got over the Caitlyn right now. Already 1,000 gold individually for Jinja Ninja. This is not where Caitlyn wants to be when this champion falls behind. Can have a really difficult time trying to have an impact in the game. And it's Ashe and Amumu that continue to have the push. Yeah, this is not how Caitlyn and Xerath want to be playing this one out at all.
think it's going to be a really long way back. Caitlyn does get to be pretty strong in the late stages of the game, but this isn't the type of team comp that really wants the late stages of the game to come through. So there's a lot of work
Yeah.
to be done, and it has to be done in the next 15-ish minutes, I think, for any chance of coming back in this game to happen. But there's still plenty of time. 15 minutes. That's a lot of opportunity to
Yeah.
make things happen.
And their Lilia is pretty strong, able to pick up both of those kills. Might have even been a little bit of shutdown money for Ashe there. I didn't quite catch it, but
Should
certainly,
have been.
yeah, maybe not. Maybe a little bit early for any kind of bounty to appear. It does have one now, but Montoya looking to get the wave in up here. Level 6 advantage right now over the Pirate. Gonna go for the riposte here. Dashes across, gets the Vital proc. Pretty low HP, though, for both of these top laners. So Montoya needing to be careful, so close to the turret.
Yeah, I think that the reason that there wasn't a bounty was because the kill came right after the double kill
Yeah.
went over to Jinja Ninja. So the double kill didn't accumulate the
Ooh.
bounty until
Mons
after,
is back
and
in the...
now the bounty's there.
Yeah, now there is a bounty, and Mons wants it. He's back in the bottom lane. Went for a lane gank this time, but it's not going to work out. The skill shots don't quite land. And Jinja Ninja and Asylum Speedrun going to keep up the pressure for now. Their own jungler also on the bottom side of the map. Not necessarily in position right now. Oh, that's the grand challenge has been issued. Montoya has a cannon barrage coming down on his head, but he's holding on to the riposte to the last second. Able to get down the auto, gets the healing, and it's the Inigo Montoya opening up a little bit of a lead up in the top lane.
Yeah, I thought Kuro the Divine was going to be able to guard that last proc of the Vital, but that didn't matter because enough damage came through off the first three to find the kill.
Bandage toss connecting, flashing away Debbie from that second bandage. Jinja Ninja just able to lay in with the auto attacks underneath the turret. Those constant slows, so annoying for the Dreamland bot lane.
Yeah, and right now they're in a position where anytime that they fight, they have to be up against a Noon Quiver, and that's going to allow your gynecologist to set up on this first dragon, going to be able to take that one down, and all of a sudden we're seeing more than 1,000 gold lead first Drake going over to the team that we thought might be on the back foot early on. They've done a great job disrupting.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you were calling for straight out of the draft, right? The game has certainly been chaotic so far. Bedtime able to keep a good pace thus far into the game. Gynecologist level 6 advantage over the enemy jungler as well. He's biding his time. He's going to go in and yoink it away possibly with the smite at the last second, popping the ghost now. He's got his top laner moving over. Mon's going to get stunned up by the horns. There he goes. The Victor not in time to support his jungler on that invade. Mons gets taken out. That was probably the strongest member on the side of Dreamland. Getting a little bit greedy, a little bit too big for his hooves. Gets punished.
We talked about the clear being really good for Lilia, but your gynecologist already up like 3 camps right now. This is absurd, just doing so well at contesting every area of the map. Now Rift Herald going over to Bedtime at 7 as well. So good here from this jungler.
Yeah, pretty clinical so far. Bandage toss under the turret. Oh, Curse of the Sad Mummy means it's a short thing. That was beautifully played by Silent Speedrun. Oh, Jinja Ninja didn't quite have the flash. The flash was seconds off cooldown. Almost could have got the kill and then flashed out from under the turret, but that didn't quite work out. And it will be 1 kill given back over. But that was a great setup from the Amumu.
Yeah, well played. Should be able to get... It looks like it was just 1 turret plate. Nice roam from Inkbrush. The 2-for-1's pretty good, but it's just about neutralized by the shutdown being given over. So that's going to feel good for W. Get some gold back in there. We can see the Noon Quiver now complete. It's going to be Immortal Shield, though, coming back.
Oh, that's a flash in for Inigo under the turret. Has riposte, but you can't riposte turret shots. So he will get the kill, but he used everything for it and will die in return.
Yeah, the 1-for-1, though, pretty okay. Once again, giving over a shutdown, so it's going to be gold positive for Kuro the Divine. We'll keep an eye on the wave state, though.
Neither Bandage toss connecting in the mid lane, but he's pretty healthy. The Victor will just immediately flash away and stay alive, you were saying?
Yeah, we'll see if the wave ends up starting to push back towards Inigo Montoya. That would definitely balance out the trade pretty well. But I think that for now, just trading back and forth, getting more gold on the map,
Ooh.
that's
Oh, that's the flash in for Ginger Ninja. He's looking for this one, and he will find it. Dodges away from the shocking orb there as well, and now Xerath. He can't run. The slows are too much. Oh, he can flash away, though. And here comes the lilting Lullaby. It's Mumu desperately trying to peel, but it's Mons who's flashing forward, going to be able to get the kill. It's another double for the Dreamland jungler, and he's right back with the money. He's back on track.
yeah, we see that nice one-item power spike coming through from Jinja Ninja, able to get the first kill.
Oh.
But now on the back end of it, Mont's able to take huge advantage, and now there's so much money on this Lilia, despite being behind about 5 camps at this point. The gold is still positive for the Deer.
He's trying to farm the Ash. That's what he's doing. It doesn't show up in the CS number, but you know he's got 3 more kills than the Udyr at least. And he might be a kill for the Udyr himself if he's not careful. So Prowler's Claw is completed for the gynecologist, so ready to go. Ready to start assassinating people. That's going to be a Silent Speedrun. Hex Flash over the wall into the bandage toss. That's one dead mid laner.
Wow, what a well put together play. A nice roam coming through from a silent speedrun. Just like if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. We saw the roam earlier coming up from Inkbrush. And now Ginger Ninja once again finding some opportunities to maybe get some threat. It's always kill threat when you're an Ashe.
Yeah, definitely. And really making Debbie painfully aware of that fact. It's a lot of plates mined in the mid lane. A lot of damage done to that tier 1 turret as the Herald was activated by Gynecologist. Is Fiora continuing to put the pressure on? Oh, and he's in the brush. He was in the brush. Wait, that was 3 auto attacks.
3 auto attacks plus a smite. The smite upgrade from... We determined the blue one was Stephanie, right?
Oh, yes, yes. That's correct.
Just Brand looking for a play, almost able to one-shot your gynecologist. Not going to be able to do it, though. Leandry's already complete, so just Brand doing pretty decently in the mid lane. Going to be about even on gold, but those first item Leandry's coming through in both mid and jungle mean that they've got a lot of potential to burn, burn, burn.
Yeah, going to be pretty valuable against the Amumu, definitely. And if they end up with some heal cut in the builds, being able to continuously apply that can definitely be valuable. But with the Glass Cannon Udyr build, I have to wonder if maybe a Ludens for... Oh my goodness, Inbrush is just flashing over the wall, looking for a kill onto Debbie. Can't quite... Oh, the poison ticks down, and the Caitlyn will die in the end. So that was incredibly aggressive. He just flashed over a wall into like 3 people.
Yeah, and it might have been on vision as well. There's a ward behind that brush that's not being covered by that pink ward, so I think that there might have been an opportunity to see that just Brand and Mons were there. Maybe just going all in, being fully willing to give up their own life. Pink brush able to get the 1-for-1 at the very least, and now starting to put pressure is Bedtime at 7 around this second Drake of the game.
I mean, they're causing some more chaos, right? The chaos is plentiful on Summoner's Rift right now. An Enchanted Arrow connects, sets up beautifully for the Bandage Toss, and Brother Goku is gone. He is taken out. It's number 6 for Ginger Ninja, plus the Dragon, and it's an Ocean Soul for game number 1. Gynecologist has found himself another victim as Debbie... Oh my god, this Udyr build is nuts. It is nuts. I can't.
So beautiful, just assassinating people with the Udyr. I've never thought of this before, and it's gonna be Ravenous Hydra as well. It's gonna be such a lethal Udyr build. We can already see the one-shots coming through. Just imagine with the Ravenous Hydra as well. It's gonna be one-shots and unkillable at the same time.
Unbelievable, yeah. The old Udyr adage of run, stun, job done, certainly not really holding true anymore. His job is much more grim and visceral than it used to be, apparently. As Kuro is very far up in the lane right now and very behind this Fiora, and he is in a lot of trouble. He is going to expend the cannon barrage and just barely be out of range of that lunge. Montoya still wants it. He's still hunting for this pirate. He's continuing to dash forward, going for a little bit of an early riposte there. Kuro flashing away, the flash follow for Montoya under the tower. going for another trade in the top lane.
Yeah, good recognition there from Inigo Montoya to notice that there was no escaping there. Lilia's just too fast. Mons can always chase you down in that matchup. So he flashes in, flash follow the Kuro the Divine's gangplank, and able to find at least one kill in counter.
Sidestepping the arrow there. Mon's able to prance his way to safety. Herald number 2 is alive on the map, and Gynecologist, yep, he's got a Prowler's Claw, and Goku no longer has a flash. But does still have a health bar by some miracle.
Yeah, just a little bit of a health bar. I think that this
Part of
Herald
one.
can be contestable.
Mon's okay. Well, he's got the double sleep now. We've got the right of the arcane as well. We're gonna have a swirl seed that just splits the uprights. Asylum Speeder, we're gonna find another bandage onto the Victor and then flash away to try and stay alive. Herald's work is gonna have to be abandoned here as they were not able to find any more kills. May have to give this one over to Dreamland now. It's only the second Herald. It's not worth dying over as Ink Rush. Throw it down the Miasma. Oh, gets a huge petrifying gaze onto 2. Immediately takes out the support. Will trade himself for it. Now Asylum Speedrun is all out of health. It's going to be a 2-for-1 now in favor of Dreamland. They can potentially keep looking for this, but no. Jinja Ninja is incredibly strong on this Ashe. As soon as he moves over to make his presence felt, the side of Dreamland has to immediately vacate the area.
Yeah, they do get a 2-for-1, so the fight's not a total loss there for Dreamland. But they will also be trading the Rift Herald for some damage on this bot tier 1. I think all in all, it's going to be okay for both sides.
Montoya. Oh, he's already so scary on the Fiora as well. There's just a crazy amount of damage in this game on both sides. It's honestly pretty much impossible for me to keep up with all the plays that are happening. Like, I'm trying my best, but like I feel like I'm missing so much of what's happening. It's just there's too much going on. There's too much chaos, Tiger. They followed your advice
so far, Crewman. You're keeping up with whatever's going down, at least as far as the kills are concerned. Just Brand gonna get potentially jumped on here. It's so scary to even walk into your lane when your gynecologist is coming up. The fully evolved Stephanie Blue Smite.
Oh god. Oh, he's just dead. That was what? Oh, the humanity.
We're just seeing Prowler's Claw plus 2 auto attacks killing the squishies now. When will it be just 1 auto attack plus the Prowler's Claw?
Soon. It was 3 like 5 minutes ago. Maybe 5 more minutes. He'll have it down to 1 auto. The Prowler's auto smite combo just instantly kills anyone. I can see it. And in our future, for sure.
Well, Ravenous Hydra is complete now for your gynecologist in a very strong spot right now. It's going to be the Ocean Soul that's going to just add to the effectiveness.
Yeah, I was Asylum Speedrun thinking better of that particular turret dive. Ink Rush, though, turning it back around, and that is a bandage toss that will connect. Oh, Debbie is so far behind. Just doesn't have the damage on the Caitlyn, and Kuro as well, trying desperately to maneuver around the Fiora, but just won't be able to accomplish that. Will go down as well. They do pick off the support in the bot lane, as Asylum Speedrun ended up a little bit overextended there. But it's just the side of Bedtime at 7 seems like they're just finding more and more advantages. They're really starting to stack them up now. Yeah, that's another body for the pile. There goes the Xerath. Gynecologist, though, very squishy, and he's going to be very sleepy as well. True to the team name, but it just doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter, Tiger. Oh, the Zonias. The outplay, the maxed out shutdown for Mons on the Lilia. That is a big turnaround. Gynecologist wasn't ready for the stopwatch. Pays the price for it.
Yeah, and with the dragon on the map, I have to wonder if there's going to be a quick move towards it. But no, it's going to be started up by Inigo Montoya. Instead, going to be trying to set up the Ocean Soul point. And they have a lot of DPS, as we alluded to before, so I think they may be able to get it before there's any opportunity for Mons to get there.
Yeah, no jungler in the area, no Gangplank ult, no Xerath ult, no way to even attempt to steal that one away. So, no smite, doesn't matter. Easily locked down by Bedtime at 7, and they have secured themselves their Ocean Soul point. So, just 4.5 more minutes. And we could be looking at an Udyr with Ocean Soul and 3 items. That is frightening.
And now that Baron's on the Rift, they might be able to look towards that as well. They've got a 5k gold lead. I think that they have the tools to get it done. Ginsu's complete for Jinja Ninja. They've got those 2 items on your gynecologist as well. Getting pretty close to 2 items on all members. And the Even Shroud is going to be the choice here from Asylum Speedrun. Going to be setting up all the extra damage, which already adds up to a lot against these squishies.
All right, so we're going to be dropping the Herald into the mid lane. That's the Crystal Arrow connecting. Goodbye, Caitlyn. There's the kill. Asylum speedrun, though. A lot of damage. The turret shot in the right of the arcane. Almost able to finish him off, but Brother Goku can't quite lock down that kill. Amumu will escape. Herald going to get the charge into the tier 3 turret now. Gynecologist still moving forward menacingly. Just the charge is all they're after, though, and now they can fall back and continue stealing away enemy jungle camps.
Yeah, we're so far into the lead for Bedtime at 7 that they're starting to trade their health bars for objectives. They're not even dying for them. They're just giving up some health, and they're regenning it so quickly with the first Ocean Drake even, as well as having a lot of life steal amongst them, that it's just so difficult to even do anything.
Oh, no. Kuro immediately having to flash away from that Fiora. Thought maybe he could step up and try to threaten Jinja Ninja's Ashe, but Fiora was patiently waiting in the bush. And Kuro, just for leaving the safety of his tier 2 turret, immediately has to flash away.
Yeah, it's getting pretty difficult to see a way to come back in this one for Dreamland. Hopefully they've still got their best efforts ahead of them. They've got a lot of items to gain. And you can always look for picks. I think that they're not so far behind that they won't be able to win some fights with numbers advantages going in. And if they can utilize their extra range to bully potentially some of these health bars, then they're going to get opportunities. But we've seen a lot of good plays so far from Bedtime at 7 of avoiding the vision, making sure that they are unspotted, especially your gynecologist just popping up places and instantly killing whoever dares walk that direction.
Yeah, this game really has turned into a bit of a nightmare for Dreamland. They're not enjoying their slumber whatsoever. And that is going to be Baron, 22.5 minutes, easily claimed by Bedtime. They are indeed looking to go to bed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, speedrun this game, not just speedrunning the Asylum, right?
Right.
They're doing a pretty good job of it. I'm convinced that they've got this one in the bag. We'll see if they can close it out cleanly, looking for some cross-map enchanted crystal arrows and trying to cement their victory here in game number 1.
Yeah, it really does kind of circle. Okay, that's a lullaby onto the Ashe. The very sleepy marksman, but the Curse of the Sad Mummy onto 2 is beautiful peeling from Asylum speedrun there. Ace in the hole is going to come out, will be blocked. Amumu with some excellent supporting. The Swirl Seed will connect, though. Jinja Ninja slowed up, flashed away, trying to stay alive, but Lilia too fast. Too furious, will get the shutdown, and despite Asylum speedrun's best efforts, they will lose 2 in the mid lane.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange decision to me to just leave the 2-man group with that Ashe being so squishy, able to be immediately taken down by the 3-man trio coming back from Dreamland. They're able to set themselves on the right track to at least stall out this Baron buff. There's going to be a dragon coming up in 45 seconds that they kind of have to contest because it's Ocean Soul. I mean, the only other option is in 6 minutes, a desperation play around the Elder Dragon, but then the other team going to be able to withstand the poke a lot better. I mean, the Ocean Soul into a poke comp is always the best soul.
Oh, it's going to be so strong. Look at Gynecologist, he's ready. He's ready to go. Yep. We're getting really close to just that single auto attack, Tiger. I can feel it. Like, once he finishes that 3rd item, I think he might be there. But yes, this is a 5v4 now on the map. There is no victor available for Dreamland. He is taking a little bit of a nap himself at the moment. Crystal Arrow going to connect onto the Xerath. Hard for the follow-up. No, flash into the... No, did I say it was difficult to follow up on that? I take it back. Yeah, Bedtime is just going to massacre them. The... Lullaby is good. Oh, no, Lilia's already dead. Never mind. She can't cast it because she is in the death chamber. And that was a quick 4 kills. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was even physically possible to cast that fight. I didn't even try. But, yeah, that was quick. That was really fast. And now it's only Xerath. Well, Victor will respawn to try and defend the Nexus here. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's an Inigo Montoya flashing in. Has the riposte. Doesn't quite get the stun with that one, but able to chase out of the gravity well. One more lunge. Level 16 Fiora with Ocean Soul. What else is there to say?
Yeah, not going to have any difficulties there. Rest of the team going straight to the Drake, securing the soul. Did well to make sure that Inigo Montoya would have that advantage. Able to get one of the Nexus towers as well. I thought that that might be the end, but not going to be quite that much just yet. It's just 2.5 items here for Inigo Montoya, so not able to instantly one-shot all the towers. But still a lot of threat being put down. They're doing all of the right steps. They're just one step away from finishing this game.
Absolutely. They're so close now. Mont's going to be at 50% HP for daring to leave his base. The audacity of that Lilia. But,
yeah, I can't believe it. Leaving base? What
very...
a courageous act, but not a very wise one necessarily. Courage and wisdom not necessarily known to go together, but you got to do something, so we'll see if that's going to be enough to set up the win.
Well, Victor is going to get taken out again underneath this turret because Ginger Ninja hit him with another Crystal Arrow. And now Inkbrush is going to move forward. He is going to go golden with the Zhonya's to buy himself a little bit of time, but ultimately that was a little bit too far forward for the Bedtime mid laner. But I don't know if it's necessarily going to matter. It is a 4v4 now in the base of Dreamland. And it's going to be Bedtime at 7 looking to put the finishing touches on this one. Bot lane inhibitor set to fall. Just a few more autos would do that one in, but no more Baron buff available. Okay, well, that's Gynecologist going underneath the turret. Going to get the Gangplank flash again. Ginger Ninja still in the bot lane here. We'll be able to finish off the inhibitor, and now it's a Mumu going very deep with that bandage toss. The Caitlyn just doesn't have enough damage, though. Plus, the Ocean Soul means even... Oh, the ace in the hole. Okay, there it is. Caitlyn found the damage in the end with the last bullet. She gets the kill onto the support. So now it is a 5v3 base defense. Looks like Dreamland going to be able to continue holding on for now, but they lost 2 of their inhibitors type.
Yeah, a valiant effort, though, able to keep this game alive a little bit longer. Maybe gonna be looking to see if they can keep it for 3 minutes and 30 seconds more. That's when the Elder Drake spawns. If they can find a miracle steal,
they're gonna need
Elder
like
Drake,
4 Elder Drakes, dude. Like
they're gonna need a lot of throws pretty much to go through. But I don't know, maybe just 2. Yep, bye Xerath.
He left his base again. We already warned them that was a mistake. We tried to tell them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so tempting, though. I mean, like, exploring the world. Don't you want to get outside the walls? Didn't you watch Attack on Titan?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to find the secret. You know, that's in Dad's house, but lots of big hungry Bedtime at 7 players between them and where they're trying to go. And it's just really not working out whatsoever. They've been devoured on numerous occasions. And it's really just, it feels pretty doomed.
Yeah, I guess that the people who've watched Attack on Titan will know that most of the time, if you do go outside the walls, you're probably not coming back. So that is shown to be pretty much the case here. The Titans of Bedtime at 7 able to secure the second Baron of the game, and I imagine the last.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Well, let's see if they can end the game before 30 minutes. They've got like 50 seconds. They've already destroyed most of their opponent's base. Really, all that remains is to walk in there and hit the Nexus. So that's what we're going to be looking for now. Crew of the Divine desperately trying to defend the inhibitor, but a bandage toss will connect. The Curse of the Sad Mummy follow up as well. Gangplank is immediately dead. It's going to be Mons flashing in, going to get the Lullaby Zhonya's combo, but only finds one, I think, with the sleep there, and now the Lilia is going to drop as well. The Petrifying Gaze not quite going to find the mark. An Inkbrush rooted up under the tower. Trap comes down as well. That's going to be a headshot. That's a turret shot. That's a dead Cassio. Still 4v3 in the base, though. Still Bedtime at 7 on the offensive. Gynecologist now looking to seal the deal. He's wrapping around the side. He's prowling in. It's Claudier. He wants more prey. He will not find it, though. He actually will drop it. They get the last Nexus turret. The Super Minions are on the Nexus. And there she goes. Bedtime at 7 with the first win in tonight's best of 3.
Yeah, scrappy fight put up by Dreamland, but once they fell behind, they were really at the mercy of Bedtime at 7. And Bedtime at 7 didn't have much mercy left there at the end. They do
Mm-mm.
end up getting more than a kill per minute. They get the Ocean Soul, and most importantly, they get the victory in game number 1.
They sure do. They sure do. Um, it was yeah, like you said, there were some moments in the early game where it felt like Dreamland had some ideas of how they wanted to play this one out. Mons had some nice punishes on the Lilia where he was able to make his way into that bottom lane and punish the very aggressively pushing Ashe Amumu on a couple of different occasions. But in the end, yeah, it was just the side of Bedtime at 7. Felt like they were getting leads across the map, in large part, I think, thanks to Claudia just running amok everywhere, easily. Well, I guess it was a little bit close, but most damage in the game did, of course, go to the Udyr, your gynecologist, at almost 21,000, top in the charts.
Yeah, it's really impressive when you're one-shotting people to also be topping the damage charts, because usually if you're one-shotting people, that means that you're not actually doing that much damage to them because they never get any opportunity to heal it back up.
Mhm.
And also, being the jungler, you're interacting with people the least of the time that's most
Yeah,
possible of any role. So I think that that's a big statement, even if it's not by much, to get the most damage in the game. That's huge for Udyr. That means that you played him extremely well, and sometimes that your teammates didn't play so well, but that's not even the case here. I mean,
certainly
Ginger
not.
Ninja was really good with the enchanted crystal arrows, with
Yeah.
everything. Inigo Montoya was doing
Oh
fantastic.
my God, yeah.
Asylum Speedrun and Inkbrush both had some good roams coming out. It was just a good game all around from Bedtime at 7, and I think that they had the idea going into the game of what they wanted to do with their comp, and they showed perfectly how they wanted to execute.
Yeah, completely agree with all that, Tiger. They were strong performances across the board for Bedtime at 7. But I would like you to choose just one of those performances, if you could, for your MVP of game number 1. Who are you looking towards?
Your gynecologist absolutely made it a
Gotta do it.
nightmare, as you said, for Dreamland
Yeah,
to try to
yeah.
approach the rift. They couldn't walk outside their base for hardly like half the game. They were just getting jumped on left and right. The tier 2 tower was no respite, and your gynecologist just was an absolute bully. I expect the Udyr to be banned from now
Oh,
on.
for
That first
sure.
pick was just so powerful.
For sure, for sure. We will take a look at the Udyr ban in just a minute, guys, as we get it set up for game 2. This will be a very short break. I think the teams are probably just about ready to go. So we will be right back. We'll see you very soon. Okay, everybody, welcome back. We're just about ready to get into that game two draft, guys. We will be swapping sides for this one. So, Dreamland electing to move over to the blue side gives them some more flexibility, probably in their bans. So, going to be able to either ban or potentially even first pick the Udyr if they want to try and snag it for themselves.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Red Side this season, but it's hard to ignore the way that the last draft went, how strong of a pick Udyr was. So having that first pick here makes a lot of sense. I would have flipped over it, even being a Red Side fan myself in this
Mm.
situation. So definitely appreciate that for Dreamland. But with that in mind, I hope that they're going to pick a comp that is a little bit less reliant on them performing at top level on all five roles to have an opportunity to win.
Yeah, I agree definitely. I think a little bit of a more balanced draft would do some really good things for Dreamland's chances. Kuro, the last pick with the gangplank into the Fiora, really did not work out at all. He was getting bullied a little bit up there, to be honest. I mean, partially that was because of the Udyr, who made a couple of very early visits up to the gangplank in the top lane and really did a great job of setting him behind. And once you fall behind a champion like Fiora, it can be really, really difficult to come back. So I don't think we can necessarily blame the ailings of the top lane on the gangplank pick itself. But regardless, it did not work out, and it'll be interesting to see what the adjustments, what the adaptations are for Dreamland as we move forward through the draft. But just getting started with it here, looks like Dreamland will be banning away the Fiora, Kennen, and Mumu. Bedtime at 7 going to remove the Swain and the Mordekaiser. So the Fiora clearly feeling like that was a problem, but the Udyr notably still available. Oh, the Udyr actually banned by Bedtime at 7 with their last ban from Red Side, so they will deny the Udyr first pick. That does mean that Hecarim is open. They want to go for the Hecarim instead.
Yeah, Hecarim could be pretty strong here. And I think you're exactly right about the Gangplank into Fiora matchup. It was that just the two ganks early on, that was all that needed to happen. And then it was Inigo Montoya who was able to win it out from there on the Fiora. Even able to get a bunch of one-for-ones when there was pressure being put up top by Mons and even some roams from Just Brand. I think that going into game number 2, it's going to have to be a different type of matchup. Obviously, the Fiora ban is going to help out a little bit there. I don't think that you blind Gangplank either, so we'll see if there's going to be an early top lane pick from Bedtime at 7, or if it's going to have to be a different top laner blind. And with the Karma first pick, I think that they're going to still be looking for an aggressive bot lane here.
Yeah, probably a pushing bot lane for Dreamland. Caitlyn available as well. It wasn't a great performance last game from Debbie. Really, they did fall behind quite early down there in the bottom lane, despite the fact that their jungler was pathing towards them. So that was a little bit rough. But the Amumu has also been removed. So if they feel like that was the main problem, then maybe running back to Caitlyn would feel okay. Over on the side of Bedtime at 7, seems like they're anticipating the aggressive pushing bot lane coming out from Dreamland, and they're sort of preempting that with a very defensive lock-in in the Ezreal.
Yeah, it could once again be the Seraphine that got banned last game as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for Bedtime at 7 to counteract. And even without picking the Ashe Amumu up, they're going to get another potential roaming support instead of going for a defensive lane partner for the Ezreal. I like that as well. I think that the roams last game from Asylum Speedrun were really good, able to get some pressure down onto the mid lane, get some help in the jungle as well. So pairing Ezreal with a roaming support makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Asylum Speedrun looked great on the Engager last game, so it would have felt a little weird to see him completely pivot the play style. So I'm liking the Leona lock-in here as well, despite the fact that it's not necessarily an intuitive pairing with Ezreal. I still think it could work quite well for them. And it will be the Kog'Maw, the Kog'Maw for Debbie this time around. So a little bit more of a hyper carry as opposed to a lane bully. Still probably should be able to get the push, especially alongside something like the Karma. But certainly an interesting pick, and not one that I feel like we see too often, Tiger. Last pick of the first round for Dreamland will be the Wukong. A little bit of a flex, likely into the jungle for Mots.
Ogma's a pretty good answer into the Ezreal, with the idea in mind that Ezreal's not going to bully the lane, but you can just scale up alongside the Ezreal and get more powerful than him. So I
Yeah.
like this answer. I actually think that Ezreal Leona has the potential to have a little bit of kill pressure if they can add a jungler that's pretty good at ganking to it. Then that can be a threat that they have available on the map. But I think that the Kog'Maw Karma in isolation will have a little bit longer range, so they may be able to poke down this bot lane that's been drafted by Bedtime at 7.
All right, so we'll be the Vladimir, last lock-in of the first round for Bedtime. Going into the mid lane for Inkbrush. Now into our second ban phase. Removing top laners so far, banning away top laners and mid laners. Any kind of solo lane would make sense for Bedtime at 7. And over on their own side, from the red side, Dreamland probably looking to ban away junglers and top laners. Although Vlad, I guess, could be going into either solo lane himself. He is also a flex.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I do agree that it's most likely going to be the mid lane. If they thought that it was a Wukong top, then Vladimir into Wukong is a pretty good matchup if I am
Hmm.
not totally insane. So I think that that would be a possibility that we got to watch out for. But Wukong has been more of a jungler in the more recent stages, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Montz taking that one, and then some potential top lane in the B4, B5.
Yeah, I think that is what I'm expecting as well, for sure. And especially seeing the Vladimir, if that is indeed a very Vlad favored matchup, then easily just send Wukong into the jungle and sort of dodge out of that one. But moving through the rest of the bands, the Hecarim will be hitting the bench, so that will not be an option for the gynecologist. It'll be exciting to see what he decides to bust out for this next game after seeing him absolutely dominate with the Udyr. See what the next look is going to be. It is a top laner removed for the last ban from Dreamland as the Malphite gets banned away.
I think that for your gynecologist, it could be something like a Vi that has some more early ganking potential, or even the Gragas or Xinjiao are some of the options that I'm looking at here. Udyr definitely has more carry potential than any of those champions, but anything that can gank is good. And trying to get ahead early on a champ like Xinjiao especially would be a pretty solid task to go towards. But there's a lot of options into this Wukong. Could even try to flip the Lilia on him.
I mean, if we remember how game one went, I think you definitely want something that can skirmish, and Lee Sin definitely fits the bill there. We know there's going to be fighting, and Lee Sin, a classic champ. Yeah, no, this is a champ that scales with player skill, so certainly, could go either way. The Lee Sin could be really good here or really disappointing, depending on how strong of a performance a gynecologist has on it. But after what we just saw him do in game one, I imagine feeling extremely confident and ready to bust that one out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Lee Sin is a good confidence pick. However, Bedtime at 7 are starting to put themselves in a position where they're going to need to land a lot of skill shots to have success in this game.
Mm,
Oh, if this is a support pick, the Renata, I think that
interesting.
means that we're moving the Karma into the top lane.
Ooh, yeah, it could also be mid as of right now. Just have to wait for this last lock-in for things to fall into place for Dreamland. What do you make of the pivot and going with the Renata into the Ezreal Leona lane? Do you think this makes some sense, Tiger?
Renata should be good into Leona, particularly.
Right.
And in a whole game sense, I think that Renata is very good at controlling choke points. Double enchanters as well for the Kog'Maw is going to feel pretty good. Going to get some buffs going from multiple
Yeah,
directions there. This is a pretty heavily Kog'Maw centric comp though, so
it
if the
is.
Kog'Maw does get shut down, if there's a lot of ganks around the bot lane early on, then Bedtime at 7 might be able to just suffocate Dreamland out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it broke down last game. It was a bot diff that felt like it sort of spread to the rest of the map, with the exception of maybe, the top lane situation that we discussed previously. So we are going to need to see a better performance this time around from Debbie if Dreamland is going to turn things around, pick up a nexus of their own, and bring us to that game 3. But now it is time for the R5 pick for Bedtime at 7. This is likely their top laner, likely Montoya, with the last pick, counter pick into the Ornn. What is he going to go for?
You could put the Vlad into the Ornn. I think that that'd be
You could.
fine. The Shen though, that makes sense as well. Going to be just a pretty safe top lane from both sides. Bedtime at 7 have a comp that is really, really hard to kill if they get ahead. They've got the Shen that can come over the top with help. Ezreal's always got the Arcane Shift available. Vlad's got Pool. Lee Sin's got a bunch of mobility, and also Kick defensively is difficult to get on top of. And Leona's just a tanky tank. So Dreamland need to stay even throughout this game, or else Bedtime at 7 are just going to become impossible to deal with.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like staying even might be a bit difficult. They've opted into this really heavy scaling composition this time around with Ornn and Kog'Maw. Both of those champions really kind of want to get to like 3 items before they really come online. The only thing that they could possibly use as a bridge is this Wukong in the jungle. And so we'll see if, Mons had a pretty solid game number 1, honestly, was trying to get them through that early game as best he could. Wasn't really successful in the end, but the Wukong, I think, is going to need to play some really, really strong defense if Bedtime at 7 is going to be stymied.
Yeah, so I think that with the situation, let's check the pushing of the lanes. Kog'Maw Renata, I think, is actually getting pushed in by Ezreal Leona. Ezreal Leona doesn't really want to engage on that very much, but Ezreal actually outranges Kog'Maw with the poke, so we'll see how that goes. It could be contested. Mid lane's going to be Karma, who's pretty short range, into Vladimir, who's also pretty short range. I think Karma can get pushed potentially.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a tough lane to gank. And then top lane is going to be obviously just 2 meatballs hitting each other repeatedly.
Right.
I think Ornn actually feels okay in that matchup because a lot of Ornn's damage is ability based. But Dreamland are going to have to use priority to get objectives early. That's the only way that they can get ahead, because they don't have like kill pressure in any of these lanes, and like you're saying, they're relying a lot on scaling here.
Yeah, that was a great rundown, Tiger. And it does really sound to me, with the way things are falling into place, that the Karma push in the mid lane is really going to be essential. You were just talking, one of the last things that you mentioned there was having the ability to move first towards objectives, having enough priority to actually safely set up in advance and try and pressure your opponents that way. And I do think that, like, if they are not able to accomplish that, it's sort of a very similar situation that they found themselves in last game with their previous composition, is trying to face check with these guys. Not very easy. I mean, if you have your Ornn there, then he can walk in first, but that could potentially leave your backline exposed to a flanking Lee Sin, and then it's just could get really messy really fast for Dreamland.
So with the way that things are shaping up here, I think that getting the early objectives is important, but that's something we didn't see last game, so it's going to have to be a different look this time around coming out from Dreamland. Obviously, they fell behind in multiple lanes last game. It wasn't because their game plan was to give up all the objectives. That's just what happened, but they can't let that happen again, because, like I'm saying, it's difficult to kill. Even when they're not ahead, it's still difficult to kill Bedtime at 7 here. So if they do get ahead, then they're going to just have pushing with impunity happen again. They're going to have your gynecologist camping out in the enemy jungle looking for kills between the tier 1 and tier 2 again. it's just going to be a whole disaster if all that goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels very risky, but we'll see if they are able to play safely through the early game. You know, if they're able to maybe make this second game significantly less chaotic than the first was, then they do have like a strong team fighting composition once they get towards the later stages. The trick, of course, the question is just can they get there? So I mean, I think I might know what you're gonna say here, but I am gonna go ahead and ask for your game two overall analysis and prediction. Which draft do you think is superior, if any? And do you think that draft is going to win?
I'll give Bedtime at 7 a 65% chance to win.
Ooh,
They do need to close it out. They can't let the game scale out
right.
of their hands. They need to take advantage of the power that they get from Shen level 6, particularly from a map pressure standpoint, and the Lee Sin mid game power spike. If they get to the late game, then those become less relevant. Vladimir, Ezreal, good champions in the late game, but bad against this comp that's been
Yeah.
drafted by Dreamland. So I'd say that the comps are pretty even, but I do believe in Bedtime at Seven's ability to close out after last game. They were able
Yeah.
to just continuously get chunks of objectives until the objective was the Nexus, and then they got that chunk of objective.
They sure did. They sure did. And we will soon find out if they can find that objective once more. They only need one more Nexus to lock in their spot in the grand finals next week here in the Noxus division. It's going to be an exciting game, too, guys. We'll see if Dreamland can bounce back with their scaling cog comp. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. right, Style fans, welcome back to the Rift. Thank you for joining us once again for the continuation of tonight's semifinal. We do have Dreamland on the blue side now, trying to switch things up. They had a really rough game number one, where they ended up falling behind in multiple parts of the map early on, and the snowball just kept getting bigger. Bedtime at 7 just rolled that one right down the hill, caused a little bit of an avalanche, and now they're one Nexus ahead.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to follow that up with a strong game number two. But I do think that with the comp that's been drafted, there's a chance for Dreamland to get into that late game advantage. There's always a chance to get to late game, but they did a good job stalling in game number one. They made a game that could have ended up at like 24 minutes, go all the way to 30
Yeah,
minutes. So if
true.
they can find some ways back into the game like that again, then I think that there's more promise with what they've developed this time in the team comp.
Yeah, certainly. If they're able to hang on like that again, maybe a little bit longer this time, then they certainly could find themselves in a position where Kog'Maw is in a position to carry the game. You know, they do have a once again a pretty significant range advantage once the Kog'Maw does scale. You know, 3 melee champions and a Vladimir on the other team, so you know should be able to DPS them down pretty comfortably as long as they can keep the Kog'Maw safe. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. You know, Leona and Ezreal could look to put the Kog'Maw down early down here in the bottom lane, and if that happens, then Dreamland is going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, let's watch for who gets level 2 first. Last game that led to first blood going in
It
favor
did.
of Bedtime at 7.
Looking like right around the same time for both of them. Equal timing on the level 2s, but the Zenith Blade forward for Speedrun. He has the strongest level 2 character maybe, but taking a lot of damage on the way out. And the Leona is chunked out to a little over 200, forced to burn through the potion already. Both potions, I believe.
Yeah, well played there by Debbie and Brother Goku, especially getting a big shield out with that Renata W. So well done there to win that trade. And they got to level 2. That was the important part. They
Yes.
were able to get that last minion. Both came through at the same time, and the all-in was not successful.
Got the knock-up onto Montoya. Ornn able to fight back well up here against the Shen. You were saying in the champ select, you know, this matchup's actually reasonably good for the Ornn. You know, he can kind of scrap with the Shen without too much worry. Brand gonna find a root with the pool to immune some of the damage. Inkbrush trades back.
With the advantage in top lane that Ornn has, it's not going to be a lot of kill pressure, but
Right.
the trades should be pretty decent, and maybe there's some gank setup once level 6 comes through. I mean, the Call of the Forge God does set up a lot of damage. If Mons
Cyclone as
can
well.
get enough damage out from the Wukong as well, then there's some opportunities. There's going to be, like you said, the Cyclone's going to set up a big CC chain. But your gynecologist going to also have the same opportunity to try to impact that lane. Shen can do a
Yeah.
surprising amount of damage in the early stages, so keep an eye on these junglers.
And Shen has set up as well with the taunt, right? So really could go either way. Just gonna depend on how things are played out. We do have the junglers pretty similar start. Gynecologist making his way into the mid lane, gonna connect the resonating strike. Just Bran looking to peel back, trying to disengage. Inkbrush going forward with the pool, gonna have the empowered Q in a second here. Clone already used now. Bran flashing forward, but he's only into the grave. Asylum speedrun now gets the stun in the bot lane. Kog'Maw gonna be able to chase down the support, so does get one kill back, but oh my goodness, just like that. Tiger, just like that, flashing after him, Ninja able to get the kill. Oh, that is very reminiscent of last game. It's a 2-for-2 in the bot lane, but it's the side of Bedtime at 7 overall. They're coming out ahead already.
Yeah, that was a really intelligent Zenith Blade as the death came through for Asylum speedrun to set up the next kill. I mean, it did end up being a 1-for-1 on the back end of the fight, so not completely the best situation, but getting both kills onto the Ezreal, trying to accelerate the early stages, getting that Sheen on the way back to lane, going to be responded to by that Vamp Scepter, so I think both sides going to be pretty okay with that, but your gynecologist already getting 2 kills as well. That's the big difference maker in the early stages.
Yeah, it's gynecologist again with the early lead, and Sheen Tier is the ideal first buy for Ezreal. It really doesn't get better than that. Like, I'm sure Kog'Maw's feeling okay about his little Vamp Scepter, his little heal stick, but Ezreal is already cruising in this one.
Yeah, I would like to see cull buys from potentially both of the bot laners as well. If there's going to be continued fighting, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go cull, but this doesn't strike me as a lane that should continue to have such kill pressure in it. So I think that cull would be all right. But if they do keep fighting, then that gives them reason to not have cull continually.
Yeah, and there has been quite a lot of fighting, Tiger. So, while I do appreciate, your reasoning, and I do think that the Cole could make some sense here, especially for the Kog'Maw. Maybe just not able to afford it right now at this stage of the game. It's gonna be Kuro finding another knockup, trade a little bit, but a little bit low on mana on the Ornn. He does still have the TP, so he can go back to base and replenish those resource bars whenever he feels like the time is appropriate.
Yep. So we'll see if that ends up happening before the gank can come through. Level 6 now for your gynecologist, staying on the
Yeah.
same level as the solo laners. That's pretty impressive for a jungler early on in the game to be doing, but it is going to be responded by the cross map invade coming out from Mont. We'll see if he can steal away this blue buff successfully. It looks like it's just going to be a cross map trade.
Yep, both junglers taking their opposing jungler's blue buff. And going to be able to secure those respective buffs pretty easily. We haven't seen anybody make any moves towards the first dragon yet. Herald is going to be spawning in about a minute. Could see potentially, since we already have numbers in the area, already a little bit of a stack from Dreamland. Could have gone for the dragon there, but electing not to. Oh, that's a fight in the bottom lane breaking out as Debbie flashing underneath the turret to stay alive. Asylum speedrun moving forward, gets another stun with the Shield of Daybreak. Goku pretty low, but Mons has made his way down here. He's finished with the blue buff, and he's hunting for the players now, but Stand United onto Jinja Ninja. Gonna have a little bit of shit from the Shen, but no, he's interrupted by Kuro. And it is the side of Dreamland coming alive here. It is Vladimir into the pool, looking for the damage. Will find it. 2 kills onto the enemy bottom lane. And the Kog'Maw will get the shutdown, though, onto Jinja Ninja's Ezreal. So that's a lot of money going to Debbie on the back end of that fight. Oh, but Mons recalling in a bush. The flash after the clone. Inkbrush gets the kill. And that does make things, as the dust settles, I believe, a 3 for 2 in favor of Bedtime.
Yeah, able to set up a good play. I think it was 3 for 3 actually,
Might have been
because
3
in
for
the
3.
top lane, Kuro didn't just
Oh,
interrupt
right.
Indigo. He
Yes.
actually killed him.
He
But
did.
now
Oh,
we see your
yeah,
gynecologist
gynecologist. Tough spot. That's the Kog'Maw ult over the wall, and the handshake gonna seal the Lee Sin's fate. Now Inkbrush trying to help out his jungler, but he's in trouble now. Don't know if he has the pool. He doesn't. That's a shutdown. That's a lot more money now into Debbie's Kog'Maw. And that is exactly where you want it if you're a Dreamland fan.
Yep, plus 1k in the bot lane, trying to set up a Blade of the Ruin King first item. Also got the tier 2 boots complete to help the passive Kog'Maw, which 2 passive kills so far for Debbie. Both times
True.
that a death came through, it was a resulting kill on the back end. So well played. Going to be looking at a little bit of a grab bag of items, actually. I don't think Pickaxe builds into Blade of the Ruin King, but anyways, pretty even all
Yeah.
around. It is that big advantage on the Kog'Maw, which is the carry of this Dreamland team, so I think they should be pretty happy about that.
Yeah, they're able to keep things very competitive so far. We're tied up at 7-7. The gold is even, and no neutrals taken just yet. It looks like Wukong wants to lock down that Rift Herald. Lee Sin's in the area, but doesn't realize this is happening and probably won't make it over in time to contest. There goes the objective. Has been secured by Mons, now making his way towards the top side. Montoya has to be careful, has his own jungler in the area, could lull him into a false sense of security, and now Wukong and Karma are here. He's going to taunt to try to get back underneath the turret. Gynecologist here now to support. Connects the Sonic Wave. Can't follow. He's going to follow that one. Dash back to the minion. Baits out the Cyclone, actually, from Mons. So pretty positive trade there for the Gynecologist. Continuing to chase now. Gets the smite down for the slow. Underneath the turret, they go, Tiger. Oh, that was so much damage. They get the execute on the monkey. Montoya now going to take a couple of turret shots, and he will trade himself back. Almost able to get the kill onto the Ornn, but not quite now. Silent speedrun throwing out the solar flare, but taking a lot of damage now, trying to run away, but the living artillery from Debbie. He's doing a lot of work. Ezreal's still full HP, but the handshake, CCs him, pulls him in. Debbie focuses down the Leona first, though. The one more auto attack, and oh, this Kog'Maw is starting to get strong already. Tiger had the attack speed to get the double before he goes down.
Yeah, that is the Blade of the Ruined King completion coming through. It's also the Trinity Force for Jinja Ninja. So both these bot laners starting to be pretty powerful on this map. Asylum speedrun going back in with the flash in that play, trying to get on to
Yeah.
Debbie. But unfortunately, the target selection was a little bit of miscommunication there because Brother Goku was pretty low. Jinja Ninja now going to finally
Ooh.
secure that kill, even it up on the back end 2 for 2. But I think that the goal at the beginning from Jinja Ninja was to finish off that kill onto Brother Goku, maybe not expecting the re-engage.
Okay, gynecologist hunting the monkey once again. Gets the ward hop into the kickback. Asylum speed run, ready for the follow-up, and there is the kill. Lee Sin supplying all the damage necessary. Mons goes down again, 0-4 now on the Wukong. Jungler for the side of Dreamland hurting a little bit here in game 2 so far. But the Kog'Maw does have 7 kills already, so the Kog'Maw is the entire story of this game for Dreamland. He is the early game, he is the mid game, and he is the late game. He is the hope for Dreamland if they want to get to game 3. Still, nobody going for that first Dragon Tiger.
Credit also to Kuro, who's 2-0-0 on the Ornn, doing pretty decently in that solo matchup. But like you're saying, Debbie, mostly the gold advantage there. But we didn't talk about on the other side who has the gold advantage. And right now, that's your gynecologist as well as Inkbrush, both over 1,000 ahead of their respective counterparts. And they are doing fantastically on the roams. Inkbrush once again having impact in the bot lane. In the top lane, your gynecologist picking up some kills as well, even daring to go in 1v3 on that top lane fight. And now that first Drake going over as well is a good sign here going into the mid game. The mid game is going to be the most powerful part here for Bedtime at 7, so they need to put this game to rest.
Yeah, once Ezreal finishes his Muramana, going to be really hitting hard. That's a big spike for him. And Vladimir as well, once he completes his first item and hits level 11, that's going to be pretty big for the mid laner also. See if they can keep up the pressure here. This game, there's plenty of kills, but it does feel overall like it might be a little bit more slow paced than game number 1, which would be play in the favor of Dreamland. Gynecologist looking to make something happen in the mid lane here. We do have the hemorrhage onto 2. Sonic Wave connects. He's going to go for it. He flashes to get in range for the Cyclone for the denial on the damage. The turret shots come through. It's a lot of damage. Inkbrush goes down to the turret, and it's going to be Lee Sin dropping as well. A double for Just Bran on the Karma as Bedtime at 7 overextend just by a bit.
Yeah, a little bit too much there trying to dive behind the deer too. I get the idea because your gynecologist would have found the kill if it wasn't for a shield popped from Just Bran onto Mons. But at the end of the day, you can only judge based off of what happened, and it ended up being the wrong call. So your gynecologist punished, Inkbrush also punished, and right as I say that they have the leads, they end up giving them back up.
That's absolutely right, Tiger. Now it is a 1,000 gold lead in favor of Dreamland overall. There's a couple of plates mined down here in the bot lane by Jinja Ninja, but turret's still relatively healthy. It is pushed for the Ezreal Leona. They have been able to keep priority for pretty much the entire game.
They should be looking to take this second Drake when it spawns. It's still 3 minutes away. There's not much on the map to fight for right now. These teams don't really seem to need anything to fight for. I mean, we've had like 2 kills per minute in both games.
Okay, well, Vladimir's made his way back into the bot lane looking for some more kills as we speak. Flashing forward for the ultimate, the Hemo Plague. He's going to get the damage down. The Renata passive did not quite come through in time to get Kog'Maw the reset. So he will go down. It's a 1-for-1 as Inkbrush trades himself, gets the kill, does go down. Oh, Gynecologist aggressively doing some counter jungling here. Gonna get rooted up by Just Bran. Can use the resonating strike. Wanted to secure the wolves first. Hops over the wall with the warp. A call of the Forge God is going to connect. And now we have a teleport coming through from the Shen. He doesn't have his ultimate available. And his jungler is already gone now. So Shen teleporting into the enemy jungle. A little bit too late to save his teammate. And now he is going to have to try and fight his way out. Gets tethered up by the Karma, gets rooted. Taking a lot of damage now is the Shen. Brother Goku on his way as well, but the Blast Cone is available, and Shen will be able to hop his way to safety.
Yeah, even a teleport committed from Jinja Ninja to try to make sure that this top lane was secure. I wonder if they're going to try to counteract this Rift Herald take. They have all 5 members back alive.
Yeah, Gynecologist just now respawning, running from base. We got a fight breaking out as the side of Bedtime try and buy some time. Let's get making rush into the back line. He will find a kill on the enemy. Sport to start things off. Cyclone comes out. A lot of damage comes down, and they're going to trade back the mid laner. But that's Ezreal over the top of the True Shot barrage. One more Mystic Shot, and he picks himself a double as well as a shutdown onto the previously deathless Ornn. Oh, Debbie is going to get locked down by the Solar Flare. The shield comes through from the Karma. Does Debbie have enough damage? Gynecologist dashing forward, gets himself the double, dashes away, won't die to the Cog passive. And just like that, it is the ace. The ace at 16 minutes. And Bedtime at 7 are looking to make it the clean 2-0.
Yeah, what a big gore drinker that was from your gynecologist. That was absolutely fat, able to get the big heal off, able to stay alive through that fight, and a 5-for-0 on the back end of what was a pick on the other side. That's a pretty strong statement from Bedtime at 7. They've got places to be. They need to go to sleep. And we'll see if they can finish the deal pretty shortly here. They've got the Drake coming up in just a few seconds. They're not going to get any charge on towards this tier 2, but having that first tower down is already doing a pretty good job of helping them set up some map control. And they already are able to win the fights as well. If they can get another team fight like that, they can start to take full command of this game.
Yeah, they find themselves solidly in the lead now after that play towards the top side. Dragon, as you say, alive on the Rift now. The second Drake of the game will be an Ocean. The team's posturing in mid lane right now, fighting for priority, looking to control that mid wave. It will be the push secured by Bedtime at 7. They're going to move into the river now. They're going to start up that Dragon. And for the side of Dreamland, it's so hard. You know, we discussed it from the draft. Once again, they don't really have a great way of face checking. They can send in the Ornn first. Dragon has not really been chunked down very low. Looks like they're setting up for the fight. That's the Solar Flare directly onto the Kog'Maw. They're going to get the kickback as well. Debbie is the first casualty of the fight, and that means that it's probably already over. It's going to be Lee Sin into the back line, or no, the Vladimir, excuse me. Does take a lot of damage, does get taken out. Gynecologist very deep now, all by himself. 1v3, but Montoya in with the Stand United. Looking to keep up the chase a little bit more. Taunt not quite going to land. Does get the empowered auto from the Heartsteel Handshake, though. Pulls it back into turret range, and Brother Goku takes out the Shen, making that a 3-for-2 in favor of Dreamland.
Yeah, they're able to come back on the back end of the play and win the numbers advantage from the fight. But meanwhile, the Dragon's being started up here. If this goes down, then I think that the advantage overall goes in favor of Bedtime.
Mons could get into the pit here, but he doesn't have any vision. He didn't know the HP on the Dragon, and it will be secured by Gynecologist to increase the lead of Bedtime.
Yeah, so I think that the fight started off really well in favor of Dreamland. They were able to get some big AoE CC down. They were able to land Cyclone, Call of the Forge God, but they break their battle lines a little bit too soon. And once the fight becomes split, that's where the side of Bedtime at 7 can thrive. They get the Stand United to rejoin the other side of the fight from Inigo Montoya. They don't end up coming out on top numbers-wise, but they win the health bars.
Yeah, absolutely. True Shot Barrage over the top. A lot of damage onto Kuro, but he's pretty tanky already on the Ornn. Oh, that's a flash in for Ink Brush. The Hemo Plague on to 3. Going immediately into the Sanguine Pool. Does get the kill as the ult activates onto the Ornn. Kuro drops. And now 5v4 on the map for Bedtime. They're going to look to push forward towards the enemy base. Baron is going to be spawning soon. Priority is this tier 2 turret in the mid lane for now, but Debbie is very strong, able to defend on the Kog'Maw.
Nice flash to get in range of that safeguard. I think if not for that, a silent speedrun might die, but we can just see how strong Debbie is right from that play.
Oh, handshake over the wall. Gynecologist finds a Sonic Wave onto the Kog'Maw, but doesn't want to go in by himself. Plenty of damage for the Kog'Maw to where he might actually even win that 1v1 at this point. Does have the Rage Blade completed.
I'm not counting on it against Lee Sin that's got Gore Drinker, Black Cleaver, a Chain Vest, and played Steel Caps. Obviously, Chain Vest hadn't come through yet, but you get my drift.
I do.
That
I do.
that's a dragon with fangs. You don't really want to go after the Lee Sin right now. It's just too much power to go with just your squishies.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly a situation I think that Debbie will not be seeking out or be excited over or anything like that. So we'll see if the Kog'Maw is able to remain safe as we move forward in this game. You know, we're getting to a point though. Well, the Kog'Maw might not be able to 1v1 anybody. Certainly extraordinarily powerful, starting to really get some good DPS out. Gynecologist now is looking for a play onto Kuro. Ornn will use the Searing Charge to try and get away. Lee Sin just kind of harassing him as he meanders down the lane. Ornn is still... Okay, he's starting to get a little bit bothered by this. He's getting chunked out now. Oh, and the kick to deny the activation of the Call of the Forge God. Kuro not winning out in this trade. The Sonic Wave won't connect this time, though. Maybe the Flash will get the Ornn to safety. The Ward Hop, though, from Gynecologist to follow. But Renata is here now to provide a bailout to the Ornn. Kuro trying to get under the tier 2 still. This means that there's number advantage on the other side of the map. Shen is taking a lot of damage, though. The turret shot, he's flashing away, just barely able to stay alive. Goku does save the top laner, but will end up going down himself as Gynecologist wins out in the 1v2. Meanwhile, the tier 2 in the mid lane will get taken out by Jinja Ninja. And it is Bedtime at 7 continuing to create more leads across the map.
I think that it's the right assignments there coming through from Dreamland. They put 2 towards the bottom to try to deal with Gynecologist, and then they go 3v4 in the mid lane just to try to hold on. But the fact that they're not winning on either side of them kind of shows where we're at in this game. It's just a little bit too much power. Gynecologist able to pick up a kill. You're never going to kill Gynecologist with just a tank and an enchanter right now, but if they could have at least survived the play, that would have been big. But unfortunately, they end up being forced to give tower in the mid lane, give tower in the bot lane, end up getting killed as well. It's just a rough moment in the game. But once again, they're in a very similar spot to last game where they stalled out for another 8 minutes. Unfortunately for them, though, the Chemtech Soul is going to be making things even more difficult for them.
Yeah, certainly the case. You know, the Ocean Soul was really valuable, I think, last game as well. Inkbrush early saying would pool there. Could be in trouble. No flash. Kog'Maw's going to run him down. That was not even a summoner spell. That was just Kog'Maw and his enchanter buddies finding a Vladimir a little bit out of position and just running him down.
This is a Blade of the Ruined King moment with the slow from the item. That's what really did Inkbrush in. And I think the early Sanguine pull was warranted, but there was nowhere else to go, so it ends up being not a play that helps out at all. Now the Dragon looks like it may end up going over as well to Dreamland despite their gold deficit because Inkbrush isn't back up yet, teleport not available. It looks like a teleport coming in from Kuro the Divine is a full commit.
Oh, it certainly is, but Gynecologist has a little bit of a flank. He's behind the pit right now. They know the Dragon is down to about 50%. He's going to look for the Sonic Wave. He goes in. He does not get it. Gynecologist not able to find the steal. Smite is good from the Wukong, and now the fight is breaking out. Gynecologist not able to get back over the wall. They lose their jungler. That's Renata. Oh, no, that's the Wukong, I believe, going down. Not quite able to get the bailout. It was very close. Oh, and that's Inkbrush now flashing in. He did get straight onto the Kog'Maw. Is it going to be enough damage? They've kept Debbie alive for so long. The Kog'Maw is still alive in this fight, and that's all that they need. It's a triple. It's a quadra. They're going to give him the penta. It's going to be a pentakill for Debbie on the Kog'Maw. The flash away for Asylum speedrun denies the penta, but that is big. And Dreamland, they're clearly not out of this just yet.
And they're going for Baron, too. It looks like they've got a lot of DPS with the Enchanter plus Kog'Maw set up. And there's your Gynecologist is just coming up now. So I think that it's a little bit dangerous. Mont's going to try to get in the pit, too. But I think that we're running straight towards another collision.
Yeah, definitely could be. The side of Bedtime at 7 does not want to give over this Baron for free. We've got the teleport in from the Shen from the top side. We've got Leona towards the bottom side. They're looking for a flank angle, and the call will be to peel off the Baron for Dreamland. They don't want to risk it, or maybe not. Maybe they're going back onto it. The True Shot Barrage only connects onto the Enchanters, but it will cause the side of Dreamland to think better of going for the play.
Well, on the back end of the dragon fight, let's take a look at where we're at now. It's going to be 2.5 items, now 3 complete for Debbie. The gold lead has been reduced to just over 1.5k. It's going to be 2 items complete on both of the enchanters as well. The nice thing about having a Karma mid and going the enchanter variety build is that you're good with less gold. So in
Yeah.
terms of itemization, it's just about even for both sides. Both sides having their 80 carries at the forefront. Gynecologist also in a really good spot. I think that it's not going to be too long until I'm guessing Death Stance based on pickaxe plus chain mail. But
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's going to be 3-item Lee Sin, still at a strong spot in this game. Starting to fade in the power to just
Yeah.
one-shot the enemy backline, but not going to ever completely fall off that because there's a couple enchanters, and enchanters are notoriously squishy.
Yeah, definitely. And the playmaking always going to be there, of course, for the Lee Sin. So, Gynecologist, I think, will still have a big impact in this game. Just what is that going to look like? The soul stacking, of course, was denied. I believe that was the first, or no, I think they did get a dragon in the previous game as well, but certainly their first dragon of this game for the side of Dreamland.
I think it
And
was a sweep. I think that this is the first Drake of the series.
it might be. It might be. I can't quite recall the drag count in the previous game, but you certainly could be right. Um, and it is critical, right, that they were able to stop that. It's the Chemtech Soul, as you already mentioned. And if the side of Bedtime said, well, if either side is able to lock that one down, it's going to do a whole lot for their chances of actually taking away the win. A Baron being alive does mean that they have Inigo Montoya on the Shen in the bot side of the map, looking to apply some pressure down there, and can, of course, join the team at a moment's notice. So they're just trying to choke out any vision that Dreamland has in that part of the jungle right now. But notably, there is still a control ward just chilling actually directly on the Baron itself. So Dreamland actually still has perfect information for now. And we do need Bedtime at 7 to move back there and clear out that vision that's actually sitting on the objective.
Yeah, I think they should be able to do that here shortly, but at the same time, this isn't the situation like last game where they have Cassiopeia, where they have Fiora, where they can just take the Baron in like less than 8
Right.
seconds. They're going to need a while to take it down here, even with the numbers advantage.
Gynecologist still remaining feisty off on the side there, pushing the enemy jungler back. So our next dragon will be in just under a minute as Inigo Montoya keeps up the push down here in the bot lane as well. Oh, Mont's and potentially in trouble, but able to use the Warrior Trickster to get himself over the wall.
Yeah, looks like we've just got a little bit of a standoff going on right now. Teleport back to being available for Kuro the Divine, so there's no longer an opportunity to get a numbers advantage in the fight.
Okay, that's Ghost for Debbie moving forward. The Solar Flare is a direct hit, though, and stops Kog'Maw in his little tracks. Now it's Mons over the wall, but pretty low already. Mystic Shot just connects onto the clone, going back in. Has the Cyclone to prevent the damage from the Lee Sin. It's going to be Leona that goes down first. Vladimir right in the middle of the fight. Lee Sin gets picked off. Watch Debbie on the Kog'Maw still spitting out that damage. And with just Jinja Ninja here, he's not going to be able to do a thing. It's another triple, another multi-kill for Debbie's Kog'Maw. And now Inigo Montoya on the run. It's him and Vladimir, the only survivors. Neither one going to be able to do a thing about this dragon getting taken out. And I think it could be Baron next as well for Dreamland.
This game is starting to outrun Bedtime at 7. They
Yeah.
missed their cutoff. They're going to be against a full build Kog'Maw here pretty soon. They're going to be up against at least a Baroned up Dreamland. Trying to push out the mid wave here right now is Inigo Montoya, so at least getting a chance to get the rest of the team back out on the map to contest. They aren't really at a high risk of their base being broken through this Baron play just yet, unless they get aced again.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's a possibility. Kog'Maw just finished his 4th item and is just insanely strong, has so much range now. And, like, the Siege, when you have a champion like Kog'Maw, is really, really strong as well. So, assuming that they don't get picked apart on the side of Dreamland, I do think that there is actually a decent chance they could make their way toward the enemy base. But they're playing very cautiously so far with this Baron. They're not really pushing anything just yet.
Horn upgrades are starting to come through. Primordial Dawn, the Radiant Virtue upgrade,
Mm.
obviously going first, but Divine Sunderer has become Deicide, and the Shirelli has become a Requiem. It's not going to be long until we see the Immortal Shield Bow upgrade to. Do we know what that is upgraded to? I
I
think.
am not sure, unfortunately.
All right. Well, we're gonna see a full build Kog'Maw here anyway. It's gonna do a lot of damage. I'm not sure if Asylum
Oh my
Speedrun can
goodness.
outrun this.
I don't think he can. I think he's just gone. Oh, the Stand United shield comes through to deny that kill from going over. But that's a big cooldown committed for Kog'Maw just walking at you.
Absolutely. Your gynecologist trying to find a flank outside of vision right now, but difficult to get in a spot where the backline is accessible when there's such strong
Yeah.
defensive tools in the Karma and the Renata.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing a great job of keeping the Kog'Maw safe right now. That is a Sonic Wave connecting, but again, he's right in the middle of all of his friends, the little Kog'Maw. So Lee Sin not able to take that one in.
Going to be difficult to find the assassination right now onto Debbie. Able to take the tier 2 tower in a pretty good spot, looking to push towards the tier 2 top as well. There's a tier 1 bot that's still available, so I think that this Baron play is going to get a lot of gold even if it doesn't end up breaking the base.
Yeah, still a little bit less than half of the duration left on that Baron buff. As Montoya tries to push back the Ornn. The tier 3 turret in the mid lane is what is under fire right now as Debbie ghosting, but he gets kicked back. The flank from Gynecologist comes through. Are they going to be able to get the Kog'Maw? Yeah, they got him down the first time, but the bailout gives him the reset, so he's still spitting. He's still chucking out the damage. Inigo Montoya's here now. The taunt, the Shen autos, he can't get in range, and just like that, we're going to game 3. Oh, Tiger, the Kog'Maw comes through. Debbie steps up and redeems themselves after the game 1. And now it is anybody's match. It's anybody that could be going to the finals. It's just barely a longer game than the previous one as a Dreamland fight back strong despite a huge early lead for Gynecologist again on the Lee Sin. Despite Inkbrush having a great performance on the Vladimir as well, it wasn't enough. The Kog'Maw was too much. And wait, can we see? It's the Blood Ward as the upgraded Immortal Shield Bow.
All right, good thing that we were able to figure that out before the end of the game, but what a performance by Debbie. I think in both games we saw that Debbie's not afraid to play aggressively and end up getting killed sometimes to try to trade for team-wide advantages. This time it was just that Kog'Maw has a passive where if you get killed, you can still be the person that goes and gets more advantages. A fantastic pick based on the style that we saw in game number 1. High deaths, high rewards, and it's going to be game 3 between these two teams.
Unreal, yeah. Now, I imagine that the side of Bedtime at 7, though, will be going back over to blue side, very likely. So, I don't know if they'll be allowing that Kog'Maw through. I have a feeling that's going to be a ban here for game 3 for sure. 50,000 and 50.5k damage in that one, 19-6 and 3, the final score line for Debbie in game 2. And I mean, I think Kog'Maw has to be the MVP, or would you look towards maybe Kuro for holding down the top lane, or Brother Goku for the support, getting Kog'Maw to that position of power?
Nah, I'm completely fine with it
Yeah,
being Debbie. I
it
think
has to be Debbie.
that the only thing that was missing from that performance was a pentakill that was stolen away by a flash from Asylum Speedrun. But I think all in all, a pretty complete performance there. And I think that the table has been well set to a conclusive game 3.
All right, so we'll be getting into it very shortly, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the exciting conclusion of tonight's semi in just a minute. right, guys, we are back for game 3 draft. Both of our squads getting a little sleepy here, maybe getting a little punchy on both sides, perhaps. Could be an even wild and wackier game 3 here for us, potentially, Tiger.
Yeah, we just got intel that Inigo Montoya's bedtime actually is at 7,
That's
so
great.
a little bit past the bedtime. But we're having a lot of fun here, so definitely worthwhile to stick around for game number 3. Could see some explosive plays going off if we get anything like the first 2 games. A lot of blood going down between these two teams, and you called it. It is the Cogmaw
You have
ban.
to, yeah, you have to. And then good to see that the Udyr is remaining on the bench as well. Can't be allowing gynecologists to get that one again, so they will first pick the Fiora for Montoya. This is what he piloted in game 1 in the victory for Bedtime at 7, and it was banned away in the first phase of bans by Dreamland in game 2, so this is clearly a pick that they are a little bit threatened by. Zyra now the hover.
Yeah, with the way that this series has progressed, it's been the blue side getting the advantage because the first pick has been so important. Like we saw this game, it's the Fiora. We saw the first game, it's the Udyr. Getting that extra priority around the bans that have been going down has been worth a lot. But I do like the Shen. This is what I asked for the first time around. The Shen
Yeah,
as the answer into the Fiora. Gonna be seeing it this time. Flipped around from game 2, the Shen was Inigo Montoya.
that's
This
right.
time, Kuro the Divine gonna be playing that champ.
Yeah, and Kuro, it seems like, has a little bit of a penchant for carry champions. But, doing something a little bit different this time around. Going to be picking up the Shen. Feels like it's probably a better matchup into the Fiora. And, did play a tank actually last game as well. So maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, I do think the Shen is a good pick here. And it's going to be the Karma again as well. So was piloted by just Brand in the previous game. Could certainly go that direction again, or could be flexed into the support role as well.
Yep, double enchanters back on the table for Dreamland. If you consider Shen to be an enchanter, I do. He
Kind of.
gives a big shield, definitely doing a lot of work to support the big carries on the team. I wonder if it's going to be another hyper carry as the bot laner, or if we'll go back to something that can carry potentially out of the jungle. We saw the Belveth banned earlier on in the series. That ban has been lifted off the table, so maybe Mons wants to go that direction.
Ooh, the cat's going to be the lock-in now, and paired up alongside the rat. That is a very classic combo indeed. Really strong with the Fiora as well, the Yumi is. And going to be able to match the sustain and the enchanting powers of the Karma as well pretty comfortably. So, like that response from Bedtime. And see what Dreamland want to round things out with their last pick of the first phase of selections.
I understand the Kog'Maw ban, but I think that if you're switching up what bot lane that you're playing, especially to another hyper carry, the Kog'Maw might not have been a necessary ban. I think the Tom and Jerry here with the Yumi Twitch is going to be quite effective into a matchup against another hyper carry. It is going to be the Kaisa, who's somewhat similar in playstyle to the Kog'Maw. Definitely more dive centric here, so I think that goes along with the Shen pretty well. Could be looking at like a Nocturne Galio comp as well.
Ooh.
That would be pretty nice to see from Dreamland here, but we'll wait and find out what they're going to pick later on. But I do think that the Twitch Yumi is a good adjustment because they're going to scale into the late game a little bit better. And what happened to Bedtime at 7 before was that they just ended up getting outscaled before they knew it.
Yeah, absolutely. It just kind of snuck up on him, is really what felt like is what happened. And this will be a little bit of a different look, definitely, for both sides. It really seems like Dreamland so far tonight has kind of been leaning more in towards the scaling, and Bedtime at 7 has had a little bit more of like the mid-game skirmishing comps. But the way this one is shaping up, oh, that is a crank in the bot lane for Goku. So it will be the Karma mid again, and the Blitzcrank alongside the Kaisa. That's actually, I think, a really good pick into Twitch and especially Uni.
Yeah, you're probably right. Crank Jungle is out there, so could
It is.
be
It is.
flexed here potentially, but I agree that it's most likely going into the bot lane because it's a Yumi. There's always the threat of being able to flash E with Blitzcrank, find the knockup, and once you can find the lockdown onto the Yumi, it's very easy to disintegrate this bot lane that's been picked up by Bedtime at 7. But they're leaning into some pretty aggressive earlier
Whoa.
on strats with the cane.
Okay, yeah, gynecologist with the cane, keeping up the aggression for sure. And then, interestingly, the Anivia going to be the last pick. So it does definitely seem like an ink brush champion, but I don't know how well it really goes with the rest of the composition. What do you make of that Anivia lock in as we await the R5 pick for Dreamland?
It's a little bit strange. I think
Mm,
that what it's signaling to me is that Bedtime at 7 think that they're going to play a 3-1 with a bouncer in the middle. Kane can go back and forth between the lanes all right. Anivia's got good wave clear. Twitch has pretty solid wave clear. There's some decent all-in potential between Twitch, Yumi, and Nivea, even if it doesn't seem like it. I mean, you can just pop up a wall and then Yumi ult, and then you're on top of
yeah.
anyone that's come too close in range. That's good stylistically against a Kaisa, I think. But I think that all in all, Bedtime at 7 are looking to get opportunities to scale later into the game, and they're trying to get the to that point where the Fiora is a menace in the side lane. And while Shen wants to be able to answer, I think that level 18 full build Fiora is able to run Shen down. So it's going to
Oh,
take
yeah.
a while to get there, but Inigo Montoya is going to be the primary carry here on the side of Bedtime at 7.
Yeah, especially if he's got a cat on his back, right? That's just going to enable everything that you're talking about even more. And I am a little bit concerned with the Vi lock-in as the last selection for Dreamland going into the jungle. They have sort of the double support set up here once again, but without the Kog'Maw to carry, I am a little bit concerned, Tiger, that they might be a little bit lacking in the damage department.
I think Kaisa does not quite as much as Kog'Maw, but still enough to warrant a 1 damage comp. But that said, they've focused a lot on the dive here. That they
Mhm.
are also going to be okay with the 1 damage comp because there's no tanks on Bedtime at 7. The
Yeah.
only thing that even resembles a bruiser is going to be a Rost potentially coming in, which I do think it will be Rost out of this 2 options here,
Mhm.
because going for the Shadow Cane makes them just infinitely squishy and not having any frontline whatsoever. But
Yeah.
even if it is the Rost, I think that having the 1 damage is going to be enough. But that said, Dreamland need to have the lead early on so that they can use the Shen to get pressure on the map, just like I was saying for Bedtime at 7 last game. They need to be able to use their Blitzcrank to set up picks and get some more kills, as well as their Vi. And they need to be able to get in spots where they can force fights before we get to the late game stage Fiora, and before we get to the late game stage Anivia that can just clear out any wave.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the scaling on the side of Dreamland is not bad by any means, but certainly not really comparable to what Bedtime at 7 has. They are going to be extremely powerful if we do get towards the later stages of the game. If we get past 30 minutes, everybody on that team is going to become just an absolutely massive threat. And that is definitely something that Dreamland is going to be having to keep in mind. They are definitely on a little bit of a clock in this one. So they're going to need to have some controlled chaos. They're going to need to find those early picks like you were just talking about. And they're going to need to, respect the possibility of this Kane, of this Twitch, just like kind of coming out of nowhere and surprising them and trying to turn the tables.
This is a really weird setup because it's a dive comp with 1 damage that
Hmm.
that needs to be able to get ahead early normally, but it's against such a fragile comp. I mean, the scaling of all of the champions on the side of Bedtime at 7 seems to be good. I mean, Yumi, Twitch, Anivia, Fiora, these are all champions that I associate with late game, but because they don't have really any frontline, even if you get the Rost form of Kayn, I don't think that in this situation he qualifies as a frontline. You're basically just making Anivia's W your front line and then the tower covering your back. That seems like a precarious position to put yourself in. I'm almost leaning towards it's going to be better for Dreamland in the late
Mm,
game just because of that, even though it seems insane to say.
interesting. Well, I mean, that if it all comes down to what happens on the Rift in the end, right? Like we can sit here and talk about these compositions all day until the sun comes up, but the teams probably wouldn't like that because they really are trying to get some sleep before that happens. But yeah, I mean, it's just gonna we're just gonna have to see what happens. Blitzcrank is kind of one of those champions too, where he can be incredibly impactful in a really positive way, or he can just do absolutely nothing. It all just comes down to whether you land the hook or not, right? And I do have faith that Brother Goku is going to be able to land some hooks for us this game. Question is just, is he going to land enough hooks, and are those hooks going to land onto the right people? But overall here, Tiger, we have our compositions fully formed. We've discussed them at some length. We're a couple minutes away from getting into our third and final game of the night. Let's get one more prediction from you. Who's going to take it? Who is on their way to the grand final?
All right, Eval Bar says it's going crazy back and forth, but I'm resting around 55% in favor of Bedtime at 7. I just have a hard time ever picking against the cat. Yumi has
Yeah,
just been so good for so long that if there's ever an opportunity to get one of these carries ahead, it really can be anyone, but anyone other than Inkbrush particularly would be extremely oppressive with the Yumi in tow. But I really can't
absolutely.
I can't visualize this game all out and figure out who's going to win in the way that I normally would because these team comps are not normal.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we'll see if the side of the side of Dreamland is able to find their early advantages, if they're able to move the crank around the map, if they're able to find those picks, or if the cat is going to scale her way to victory for Bedtime at 7. Gynecologist as well. He's been popping off in both of those earlier games tonight, and when Kayn gets ahead, it can be so obnoxious to play against. So if he gets a lead again here in game 3, I think that could spell really good things for Bedtime. But let's not waste much more time, guys. We have only 1 minute left on our delay. We'll be getting into the game very soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you here again in just a minute. right, everybody. Welcome back to the Rift. We've got Bedtime back on the blue. We have Dreamland Esports on the red, and they have the Blitzcrank. So the question is not what they will do the question is not if they will do a level 1, but what they will do for their level 1. And the answer to that question is they will invade with all 5 through the bottom side of the map. So this is very sneaky.
I
Bedtime at
don't
7
think
has
that
no
they
idea
actually
where they
win
are.
the 5v5. They're looking to get a
They need the hook.
mismatched numbers advantage here. But with the 5-man stack here from
Yeah.
Bedtime at 7, I
Oh, this
think
is
that they're
tense.
okay.
Yes, it's going to be probably the phase check is what we're looking at here. There's no vision in this bush for the side of Dreamland, so they are going to walk right in.
We'll see if a
Potentially.
fight
Oh, they're
breaks out.
splitting up. Oh, the Frostbite out of the bush. Gets the stun onto the Karma. Just Brand now will have to flash over the wall to stay alive. And Ningo Montoya flashes after him. Almost gets the second vital, but not quite. Uses the flash. Does not get anything for it. So just a trade of flashes between the Fiora and the Karma.
Yumi has an insane level 1 because she has 2 abilities, and we're still on a collision course for the level 1 fight.
Oh,
Going to just
wow.
be a wrap start for Kane is always a possibility, and it looks like that's what it's going to be. And he's going to be level 2 for this fight.
Yeah, this red buff is going to take a little while to finish off. There it goes. So Mont's able to get it just barely in time. This gynecologist was moving over to potentially smite it away, but won't come through in the end. Vi does get the buff, and Kane will be denied his first red.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate here for Bedtime at 7. Their bot lane gets choked off of the wave as well because they have to run the long way back to lane. They're not able to get access to that first wave. They're going to be in trouble here potentially, but they're
Oh,
getting a gank to help them out.
yeah, Kane is making his way down here. He's finished his Krug. He's still only level 2, so he doesn't have the W, but does get the blade, or the Reaping Slash. The Ignite ticks down, and it's first blood for the cat. As the turret shot onto the Yumi, I believe, as that's by flashing forward, but the flash away for Ginger Ninja. Good reaction time on the Twitch there. So he's able to keep himself safe, and now both junglers investing a lot of time down here in the bot lane early on.
Yep, so the camp advantage will go to Mons, who is able to steal away that extra red buff. I don't think that that's going to be recouped here by your gynecologist in the first clear around, but getting that kill in the bot lane onto Asylum speedrun going to be very helpful here. Even though it's just under the Yumi, getting Yumi items is always good because you need to get some mana regen for lane, so it's going to be probably a couple fairy charms or maybe a Bandle Glass Mirror on this first back.
Oh, Hex Flash out of the book. Crank gonna look for another hook. Ginger Ninja no flash. Gonna use the exhaust onto the Kaisa. The CC comes through, but the exhaust doing a lot of work. And Debbie is in trouble. The lethal tempo stack. That was so close. The AD carries will kill each other in the end. Both marksmen getting the kill credit as well. As what an intense fight. That was the Ignite committed as well. The exhaust doing a lot of work there. As, oh wait, I didn't see who got that red.
Kane has a red buff, so he got it.
Oh, man. So, Gynecologist gets his revenge, gains a red buff of his own, as Ink Rush, maybe in trouble, was trying to rotate over to support his jungler, but gonna lose the HP bar and the passive as he's put into the egg.
Yeah, probably works out okay because sustaining back to a full HP bar feels pretty good. Your gynecologist looking for another gank. This has been a very lethal
Blitzcrank
jungler
also
throughout the
looking in the
series.
mid lane right now, Hex flashing in. But yes, the Kane making his way into the top lane. Montoya, no CC to set this one up, and Kuro has the taunt to be able to dash underneath the turret. Takes a lot of damage still. Gynecologist is going to take a single tower shot. Montoya takes one as well. The Ignite comes down. Flashing forward. Kuro, no! Oh, you had him anyway with the Ignite, but he flashes back into Kane's range, and Gynecologist was able to finish him off, so both top laners go down.
Yeah, still a pretty decent result for Kuro, going 1-for-1 when the gank is coming towards the top lane, but definitely feels a lot better to get that kill back over. And it's a big wave that's going to be lost to tower here. It's Ignite for Kuro instead of Teleport, so it's going to be a little bit of a walk back to lane. Now, the Drake being started very early on here.
Yeah, Brother Goku can look for some CC here. Gets the pullback. Gonna get the knockoff. That's a lot of damage from the Kaisa as well. Plasma fully stacked. The shield, not enough from the Yumi. And Twitch gets taken out. Now Asylum speedrun, sort of moving his way back towards the tower very slowly, floating away on the book. Will be able to escape. Loot Pinata will not be destroyed. And with that kill onto the marksman, this will be definitely the first dragon going the way of Dreamland.
Yeah, pretty early on to start the Drake stacking. Like to see that.
Very
And
early.
Dreamland going to be in a good position off the back of that. I think that the bot lane is feeling pretty solid about where they're at right now. Getting a couple kills onto Jinja Ninja with a slight CS advantage. And one kill for each
Yeah.
member of both bot lanes. So pretty even on that front. And slight gold lead overall in favor of Bedtime at 7. But I think that both sides probably pretty happy with where this game states at.
Yeah, very even so far. There's that first dragon, of course, over for the side of Dreamland, so that could be impactful later. It's Cloud and Mountain are going to be the first two, so probably going to be a very powerful soul here for us once again in Game 3. Wouldn't have it any other way, right? But we do
Yeah,
have...
if it is the Ocean Soul, I think that that gives a huge advantage over to Dreamland. But either side will feel really good with any of the other three options. I think that the Chemtech would actually be particularly advantageous for Bedtime at 7. But that's only if you can stack 4 of them up, and already Dreamland are off to a good start on that front. So well played getting that early Drake.
Yeah, definitely. Going to be pretty important for them. Be able to keep the tempo nice and high in this one. Remember, they don't want to get outscaled by all these damage dealers. Interestingly, it does appear to be Blue Kane as Kuro is taunting back towards the tower. The Grand Challenge was issued and only a couple more procs from the Fiora. Dodges away from the Vi there as well. Needs one more. Auto the minion there, I think. Inigo Montoya did think he could have had that kill, but he was in the minion wave and he misclicked a minion, I believe, and will end up going down for nothing. And now Blitzcrank back in the mid lane. And Nivea, no passive. Gonna get the stun. The E is not enough damage. And Bran will survive. Inkbrush will not. As a couple of quick kills go in the way of Dreamland.
Yeah, narrow margins from the solo lanes, but Dreamland coming out on
Yeah.
top. They're able to get the gold lead back in their favor. Your gynecologist going to pick up a Dark Harvest proc. Probably not going to see much more of a trade on the back end of this.
Oh,
Going to
he
get
gets
hooked, though.
hooked in. Yeah, gynecologist in trouble now. He does have the ultimate. He's trying to use it onto the Karma, but he couldn't quite get in range. And he will have the E to get himself back over the wall to safety.
Yeah, so I guess that with the Shadow Assassin, if that is the call for your gynecologist, then
Oh,
an all in.
the Killer Instinct in for Debbie. He has the Stand United on top as well. Shen there for the taunt, and Twitch only level 5. Doesn't have the spray and pray. There goes Jinja Ninja for the 3rd time. And now the Loot Pinata surely will fall as well. Very nicely done from Dreamland. No fear from Debbie, and Kuro immediately with the follow-up.
Yeah, a couple more kills going down in the bot lane. A lot of investment into Debbie this time around. Brother Goku picking up 3 of the kills. Gonna have those Moby boots for some potential roams coming out later on. But right now, there's not much of a place to roam to. Mid lane's been super quiet. Top lane, there's been some pressure around there, but Kuro the Divine is already doing fine on the Shen, so I don't think that there's a lot of reason to go there. Looks like Brother Goku is considering a mid roam here, potentially going to try to get a kill on the Inkbrush, but for the time being, I think that it's a little bit unfortunate that not more of those kills are on to Debbie.
Yeah, the Kaisa does have a couple, though. You know, sitting on the Noon Quiver already. Certainly doing okay for herself. Yeah, it is. The Shen is pretty significantly far behind Montoya in farm, just because of that little trip down to the bot lane. But with those 2 kills, you know, he's still pretty close in gold and actually has a little bit of a bounty on his head. Inigo Montoya now down a level to the Shen, actually, as well. And Kuro able to trade back very comfortably with the grasp there also.
So the only discrepancies in the gold between between lane counterparts is that there's 500 in favor of Brother Goku and about 500 in favor of your gynecologist. So as far as that goes, it's really close, but I think that that's good on the side of Bedtime at 7. But now they're gonna have to find another fight.
They found Mons in the Herald Pit, but Vi will be able to vault break herself to safety. It does mean that she's potentially forfeiting the Herald here. So that has been started up by the mid-jungle of Bedtime. They do have their bot lane. Both bot lanes still in the bot lane. Just Kaisa pushing in the wave right now. Herald still at about 50%. And now just Bran is here. Mons dashing forward, is going to commit the cease and desist as well. A lot of damage on the Ink Brush. Think he has the passive again, though. That's a fresh health bar for the Anivia, and now Kane has made his way over, but Brother Goku coming in, and Kuro from the top lane as well, and Ink Brush has nowhere to go. Gonna get tethered up. Mons takes the last hit. And
This game has been clean from Dreamland, and they might have another kill in them.
yeah, Montoya now, a little bit in no man's land. Fiora pretty mobile, will be able to dash away, but this Herald definitely should be going over now. Gynecologist still in the area, not willing to concede the objective so soon. We'll start channeling the recall now. Oh, the Killer Instinct in. Debbie by herself this time. Stand United is going to come through. It's not, and oh, Debbie a little bit, biting off a little bit more than they could chew there. Oh, there's 1 second away from the Shen R. Maybe Debbie thinking that Kuro had that one available when really it wasn't quite off cooldown.
Yeah, unfortunate mistiming there. That's an error that they might end up wanting back if this game ends up going for a long time, because giving a kill over to Jinja Ninja at this point means that we're that much closer. It's not exactly the same between Twitch and Kog'Maw, but there's a lot of parallels between the situation Jinja Ninja is in right now and the situation Debbie was in last game.
Definitely the case. That is going to be the Blade's Reach, finding a knock-up on her Brother Goku. The Crank does have some reinforcements, though. Gets the silence, and Gynecologist gets popped. Now the Stand United comes down as well, and the Anivia is all out of allies in the area. Inkbrush going to get taken out as well, and the clinic continues. It's Dreamland firing on all cylinders here in Game 3.
Yeah, they've done so well from a macro perspective here. They've adapted from game number 2. They won game number 2, but they're doing an even better job right now of not just fighting, but fighting for things. They've been able to get plates, they've been able to get Rift Heralds, they've been able to get Dragons, and they're in a commanding position right now in this game.
Yeah, gonna get the charge into the tier 1 in the bot lane as well, so a couple of turret plates back over to the Kaisa. Jinja Ninja does get the Contaminate off onto the Crank, but gotta be careful. Vias here can potentially look to continue pressuring, but the Lost Chapter comes out. That's going to be a root onto Debbie and the Crank as well. Goku also getting knocked up, and 2 kills going back over now, both onto the Twitch. That's really big. Jinja Ninja is going to start being pretty powerful. He's already got the Blade of the Ruined King completed. Going to get some nice damage onto this turret now as well, as Yumi moves over onto the jungler, gets the slow. Vault Breaker will come through. Mons dodges away from the Blade's Reach. But not enough support right now. Gonna have to concede the jungle, and Kane will reclaim the CS lead, I believe.
This is why I have such a hard time picking against the Cat. Just able to set up such big plays.
Okay, that's a flash in for Mons on towards the Twitch. Has the cease and desist as well. And the Twitch, the poor Twitch. Oh, he's got some reinforcements actually. As Kane and Yumi make their way back over, and Vi not quite able to finish off that kill. Inigo Montoya still leveled down, not discouraged whatsoever, dashing forward, looking to get some damage down onto Kuro. Gets the Shen down to about 50%.
Yeah, pretty good trades starting to come out here. Divine Sunder complete for Inigo Montoya. Still a little ways away from having an easy kill threat there, but with the way that these two seem to like to fight, there's always the potential to see some all-ins coming in. But we're going to get the first tower going down here pretty shortly. I think that with the push all-in, they might get ganked, but I think that they can take the tower.
Yeah, Kane is there. It's actually going to be the teleport into the bot lane for Anivia, so they're absolutely not going to allow that turret to be destroyed. Lost Chapter comes out. Gynecologist just in time has the ultimate, able to finish off Debbie. Debbie using the flash there. A little bit unfortunate. Was going to go down regardless. And Inkbrush is able to pick himself up a kill as well. First kill of the game for the Anivia. And Bedtime at 7. They're fighting back. It looked for a minute like Dreamland had their number here for this third game, but it is back and forth.
Yeah, and game number 2 was back and forth for a while as well, until we finally saw the team fights being convincingly Debbie favored, I would say, and Dreamland was reaping the benefits of it, but it was pretty much just the Kog'Maw dishing out all that damage.
Yep.
But this time around, we are getting some more backs and forths. Mons once again looking on the invade, but potentially going to be up against a bridge too far.
Knocked up again. Nice little short dash over to the Blast Cone to get himself to safety there.
Yeah, gonna be safe with the enhanced blast zone even getting them further away now.
Okay,
But
all
I
right.
think, do
I
you
might have
have
to step
something
away
on the
for a
mic
second.
there?
Apparently, yeah, I think I got a little bit of an issue.
All right. Unfortunate that that's going on, but in the meantime, we're seeing some counter invades coming through. These junglers just going with the back and forth, the Yumi action as well. Your gynecologist feeling pretty confident to go for some of these plays. And right now, Jinja Ninja just accepting farm in the bot lane. Mons could be in trouble. Looks like that one resolved itself. Rome's coming up from Brother Goku as well. Gonna try to set up a play. Hook not gonna land this time around. But with the Drake coming up in a minute and it being a Chemtech Soul, this is going to be a heavily contested Drake, it looks like. We're seeing a potential threat in the invade. We'll see if Inigo Montoya is going for an all-in in the top lane as
I
well. It's You're back?
I am back, Tiger. Yes, somebody is playing Ding Dong Ditch in my apartment building. Apparently, a 5-year-old lives here, so that's interesting. But I am back. Hopefully, that does not continue to be an issue. Sorry about the interruption.
Well, no worries about that. You can't help what kids are up to, and they're always up to something. So glad to have you back now. And nothing happened while you were gone too much. So just some posturing from both sides.
Yeah, we are going to have the next dragon spawning pretty soon here. Would be Chemtech Soul Point for the side of Dreamland. If they're able to pick that one up, would be really big. You were saying that this soul would be especially beneficial for the side of Bedtime, though, if they were able to pick it up. Why do you think that is?
So with getting the extra resistances when you're below 50% HP, they are squishy champions to begin with, but they're picking up some lifesteal. I mean, it's the Red Cane. It's Prowler's Claw Red Cane, so it's still a little bit more assassin-y, but you can pick up something like a Death's Dance and still be doing some pretty decent Omni Vamp there. We got Blade of the Ruin King for Ginger Ninja, and they've got the Cat as well, so they're going to have extra resistances when they're low health, and that'll give them
Oh,
opportunity to
that's
use that
gonna be
healing.
you're really in some danger. The riposte a little bit too late to deny the hook, and the dog pile comes through. Dreamland finds the pick, gets the Herald charge into the tier 1 as well. They destroy that turret, and they're looking to get the charge into the tier 2 now also.
I think that they can get a charge potentially even into the tier 3. The response is a little bit slow. It looks like the call is to try to take the tier 1 mid in response, but it's not going to be enough.
Oh, Ginger Ninja potentially in trouble, but the Lost Chapter comes out. Twitch flashes away also to build a little bit more space. The flash follow-up from Karma can't quite land the Q, and Twitch, the invisible rats, will be able to sneak his way to safety. Debbie, though, not so lucky, I think, as the Kane ultimate comes through. Vi, though, has the Q charged up. Gynecologist dashes away from that one. Mons maybe a little bit overextended now, going to get knocked up by the Blaze Rage. The wall comes through, but Vi able to flash over it. Kuro taunts over it, and both look to be making it out to safety. Nobody goes down in that one.
Yeah, that's a good area to fight for Bedtime at 7. They've got the Anivia, that's doing a lot of work. Your gynecologist able to set up the 1v1 at the beginning of the play. Things going well for them. I think they're just about even. They were able to get that Drake to stop the stacking from immediately coming through in favor of Dreamland, and they're starting to get into a position where they're looking at some healthy team fights. Jinja Ninja about to get to 2 items as well. That's what I'm looking at as the really big difference maker coming up soon.
Yeah, the Twitch is starting to get really strong for sure. Almost level 11 now as well. Definitely getting towards the point in the game where these characters are going to be really strong. He opens up now on Karma in the mid lane, and yeah, just as we're saying it, Twitch made short work of that mid laner. First death of the game, actually, for Bran, but really not much he could do about that one. Just needed to anticipate Twitch being there, really, as gynecologist going for an invade. He knows the enemy mid laner has just been taken out, so he feels pretty confident to contest the blue buff here. Looks like it will be smote away by Mons, able to claim his own buff.
It's really hard to just assume that Twitch is going to be somewhere,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you don't know where Twitch is, he could be anywhere.
Literally anywhere. Yes. Gynecologist, though, who dashes away from the hook. Oh, but it's got to be careful. That plasma stacking up. Debbie pretty strong. Has the optimal DPS build with a Kraken Slayer Phantom Dancer. So if you allow the Kaisa to hit, Debbie will be taking some heads.
I really like the plated steel caps buy here from your gynecologist. We talked about this being a single damage comp, and that damage is pretty much all physical. Going to be a little true damage thanks to Kraken Slayer. But that makes it all the more mystifying to me that Inigo Montoya has bought Merc Treads when plated steel caps, also available for Fiora.
Yeah, definitely the case. Some pretty intelligent itemization coming through there for sure. Have
We'll
the
see.
go ahead.
I was gonna say we'll see if the Merc Treads are able to reduce some CC. That's helpful, but the taunt's the only thing that I can imagine. So this only really helps in the 1v1 is my assumption. Kuro the Divine picking up the plated steel caps in a spot where it's difficult to get the kills until Inigo Montoya able to get some more items, even if the gold is a little bit favorable for the Fiora because the CS advantage is pretty large.
Yeah, definitely. The Merc Treads, now that you mention it, they do seem a little bit weird. Given the damage profile of Dreamland's composition, but like you said, definitely could still be getting some value there. And Fiora's, it's really important for this character to be able to chase people down. So being able to immune any kind of slow or stun can be pretty valuable in that kind of context. But we are closing in, Tiger, on our 4th dragon of the game. It's going to be the 2nd Chemtech, spawning in just over 30 seconds. The soul stacking still a threat from the side of Dreamland as Montoya goes for a trade in the top side. Stand United is available for Kuro, so can join this fight from the top lane.
Yeah, teleport's not quite back up yet either, so that's going to mean Inigo Montoya probably going to actually be up before the Drake spawns. So it's going to be really close. Maybe just going to run back out on the map anyways.
Ooh,
but the fight has
in the
begun.
blood. Yeah, Gynecologist going to use the Prowler Skull straight away here. Big shield on Mons, though. Potentially going to be pretty healthy. There is the shutdown. It's not Duskblade Kane, though, so he is still visible. And Kaisa gets 2 kills on the other side of the fight. So a 2-for-1 as things start out. The Twitch has been taken out. That's a nice double stun from Inkbrush. But with the man disadvantage. Oh, and Montoya flashing over the wall, lunging forward. The riposte is blocked, though, but the lunge, the auto attack cannot be blocked. And Montoya ties things up. Fiora just an absolute terror in this fight. Now Kuro going to drop as well. Oh, man, and now Karma, the last survivor, and what looked initially like a good play for Dreamland. Fran, with the movement speed, able to get under the turret.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting team fight Fiora here, but really well played by Inigo Montoya. I was really surprised at the beginning of the fight that W was actually able to kill Jinja Ninja in Asylum speedrun. I thought that was going to spell disaster for Bedtime at 7, but they are able to claw it back at the end because their solo laners do a lot of work. Your gynecologist once again at 2-1-7 on the Kane, just doing a lot of work. 2 items complete now. The Muramana, big power spike at this point in the game, able to pick up their 2nd Drake. Now the Drake's count is even. Baron's on the map. DPS pretty good from both sides, so that's a big threat for either side.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's really a threat at this point. We are definitely at that part of the game. Everybody coming online, finishing their 2nd items, even 3rd items, getting pretty close in some cases. Twitch going to be revealing himself in the mid lane. Lost Chapter comes out as well. Hook just going wide there. Vi flashing forward is going to land the stun. The Q with the Vault Breaker. Jinja Ninja opening up with the spray and pray. Wall comes down as well. That's a lot of zone control. Now 5 men strong in the mid lane. Shen, the only one separated right now, does have the ultimate available. Hook just going to go wide, just wide again there. Mons queuing forward, going for the all-in now onto Inkbrush. Goes into the egg form, but the Anivia will revive, and the Vi will not for some time. Kane underneath the turret, though, will also drop Montoya very aggressive there, and the Yumi gets taunted up, and that's going to be a triple kill. Just like that, going over to Debbie on the Kaisa.
Yeah, Debbie able to turn that fight around. Once again, we've got such close margins in the fight. Unfortunate there for Asylum speedrun that he wasn't able to get back out, but played well by Dreamland. But this wave clear is going to be good enough to avoid the tier 1 going down. And they've got both of the damage dealers still on the map, and Baron not being started up fast enough for me to think that they'll be able to take that either. So just going to be the 4-for-2 on the fight, get a little bit of gold back in the pockets. We'll see if they can go back and spend and get themselves in position to fight once again.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really big play for them. Dreamland, they have the momentum from game 2 here as well.
I
Really
think
playing
that
these fights out nicely. Go ahead.
yeah, I think that the Chemtech Putrefier coming through from Just Brand's going to feel pretty good here. And one thing that I neglected to mention before is that this is the damage variety Yumi. We've got a Luden's Tempest complete. I think it's probably going to be also a Chemtech Putrefier here for Asylum Speedrun. But whatever the case, it's going to be a lot of work coming out from those prowling projectiles at the beginning of fights. We saw at the beginning of the last fight that it was just Ginger Ninja walking up, putting down some damage onto Debbie, then a prowling projectile comes through and lands some poke. It doesn't end up setting up the fight for victory, but it was a good trade all in all.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the Yumi even a threat as we move forward in this one. The Luden's build, the AP cat certainly can be scary.
Bearing up, I think that this is going to be a little bit of a siege around the neutral objective from both sides. They're trying to set themselves up. They're trying to get the pressure on the map to allow the top laners to start doing some work on the bottom side of the map. Inigo Montoya came over for the last dragon fight without burning TP, so that's still available. And now the 4-1s have broken out again.
Yeah, TP available, as you say, for Montoya, and the ultimate for Kuro as well. So both top laners split off towards the bottom side of the map, because we do, of course, have the Baron as the... Oh, the hook over the wall. Ginger Ninja gets picked off. That is absolutely huge. Another pick for Dreamland. 5v4 at the start of this one. Gynecologist doing his best in the back line, but he's severely outnumbered. We got the Stand United coming through as well. Montoya looks like he might be able to chase down the mid laner here. Just Brand will get taken out, and Gynecologist still on the run. He's and behind enemy lines right now. Montoya gonna chase down the Blitzcrank as well. It's a double kill actually for the Anivia. Now Gynecologist dashing in with the Prowlers. Double knock up there with the Blaze Reach as well. Really huge, but he does get taken out. The burst damage too much. Yumi just barely able to make it back over onto the mid laner. Gets back onto the Anivia. Icewall comes down. Kuro cannot escape, and it's a Quadra. Insane from Inkbrush, able to do so much work in that fight.
Yeah, the 1 damage comp has started to show its weakness here. The reality of the team fights is like in the last game, they aren't happening all in one place. They're kind of scattered about. Your gynecologist is doing a really good job of making sure that's the case by going around, trying to flank on the backside, trying to distract different members and start to threaten the health bars from Dreamland. And with that in mind, Inigo Montoya able to just walk up, start dealing some damage, get the first kill of the fight, and then set up the rest of the play. Inkbrush with the quadra kill as well, starting to pump out a ton of damage on this Anivia.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, obviously melting the objectives there as well. That is 3 Chemtechs stacked up for the side of Bedtime. Ad buffs really starting to be quite significant.
Yeah, especially with the healing and shielding upgrade, meaning that Yumi is just doing that much more healing.
Oh, yes. Very much so. Even, you know, a little bit of healing from the, you know, the Kayn and the Fiora as well. Actually, not even a little bit. It's quite a lot of healing that is going to be improved, buffed by those Chemtech dragons individually.
Yeah, we're in some really good item break points right now for Bedtime. It's 3 items for Ginger Ninja. It's 3 items now for Inkbrush. It's going to be... We're getting close to 2 items for Asylum Speedrun as well. There's Ravenous Hydra plus Divine Sunderer for Inigo Montoya. They're on probably some of their best spikes of the game until we get to full build 6v6. A harmless little attempt at the Baron there. If it's not answered, they get to take it. If it is answered, there's no problem in just backing off of it. They're not really in the 1-4 that they want to be. They want Inigo Montoya to be split pushing, but they are in a 1-4, which is the setup they want.
Yeah, definitely the case. Montoya going to be rejoining with the team now. We have Inkbrush back in the base as well. You know, he does have the TP, so as you say, you know, going to be the one splitting off in the side here. Baron's still alive. Nobody's been able to claim this one yet, even in the aftermath of that previous fight. There weren't enough health bars to actually go for the objective.
I'm a little bit surprised that we've been seeing the side of Dreamland obliging this 4-1. They've been sending Kuro the Divine. It makes sense to want to have Shen in a side lane, but I think that in the long run they're going to end up in trouble because they're allowing the 1v1 to happen and not putting pressure anywhere else on the map. I think that they almost would like to have a set of 4-1s where Kuro the Divine is on the opposite side of the map from whoever it is, most likely Inigo Montoya. They want to have 4v4 in the mid lane because they want to have that ability of Shen to come join the fight and make the numbers advantage appear. But there's too much threat really in the 1v1 against a Fiora to make that a reasonable 5v4 advantage, because during the duration of the Stand United, you're just under threat of having your health bar chunked out and maybe even being killed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really fine, really thin margins at this point in the game. Even a slight misstep can really spell the end of it. At this point, everything is so impactful. We got the setup around the Baron now, fighting for vision. Ward's getting cleared out at the moment by Bedtime at 7, looking to secure control over the area. They have Inkbrush still off in the side. Montoya does have his teleport back, but he's still off the one up in the top lane there. And Anivia down matching the Shen. Does have some CC, so actually the Anivia can stop the Stand United, which is another wrinkle here.
Yeah, that's a bit crafty. It's maybe 1-3-1 angle.
Fiora may be in trouble. The Vault Breaker connects, still holding onto the riposte for now. Montoya dashing away with the Killer Instinct in. Kai'Sa's looking for this one. I think they're going to be able to find it. Riposte comes out, gets one stun, but it doesn't matter. Fiora does get taken out, and now 5v4 on the map in favor of Dreamland. Twitch pops out of hiding, though, and just like that, the Stand United, though, big old shield onto the Vi, but she gets taken out before it can complete. Shen not able to join the fight, and now Goku and Debbie both trying to flash away to stay alive, but the Prowler Squad going to come through. Gynecologist going to put Kai'Sa into the GA. Goku sticking around, trying to see if he can help, but he hooks in the Kane, and that may be the Blitzcrank's own demise. Gynecologist dashing forward now, has the ultimate, going underneath the turret, and he's got plenty of healing to make it out with plenty of health bars still remaining. A big fight for Bedtime at 7. A 3-for-1, and they could look to go for the Baron now.
I'm starting to feel like I have a better understanding of how these team comps interact, and I'm thinking it looks pretty dire for Dreamland at this point, because I don't think that they win the split push. I don't think that they win team fights either, and I think that they may have found themselves in the same situation that Bedtime at 7 found themselves in last game, where they may have just been outscaled without even realizing.
Yeah, definitely. It could have happened. Feels like they're in a really tough position now for sure. With that Baron, now the gold lead pretty significant. It's over 5,000. And if this next Chemtech Dragon goes over as well, it's just now spawning, then that's going to be the 4-stack Chem Soul. That is so difficult to overcome. This feels like it could be the last stand for Dreamland. Objective has been started up now. They're shredding it pretty quickly. Vi's in the pit. So it would be a 50-50 if they commit for it here. It could be okay with that. The Kane actually gets shut down, but the Dragon does go over to the side of Dreamland as well. Karma gets taken out next. Twitch on the side, though, spraying and praying, and he's doing a whole lot of damage, and Twitch actually was more than enough to carry that fight. Ginger Ninja was untouched. They get a huge fight win. They do lose the Dragon, but they have the Baron buff, and they could push for a lot here.
Yeah, the death timers are pretty long, 25 more seconds. That's going to be enough for base to be broken in the mid lane, I think. Maybe even breaks in the bot lane to be broken. Kuro has to be careful about trying to defend here. The Blade of the Ruined King's going to do a lot of work, and a great wall.
Oh, that is a really great wall. Yeah, Kuro's got nowhere to go. He's desperately trying to move, but no Mercury Treads for the Shen. Now, there he goes. It was a great setup by Inkbrush. For sure, they're going to be able to break the base. Now, Blitzcrank's alive. Kai'Sa's respawning now as well. 10 seconds on the jungler and the mid laner, so it'll be just the 2 inhibitors, I believe, for the moment, as Montoya puts the finishing touches on that one. And now we wait for some more action. Baron's going to be falling off here, but only 1 lane left to push for the side of Bedtime at 7. I wonder if they'll just all go up there as 5 and look to seal the deal.
Baron's not falling off so quickly. I think that with
Oh,
a whole nother
oh,
minute,
you're
they
right.
can look to potentially push through top lane and get that third inhib down. I mean, I think that the defense coming through there to at least keep the base intact for the moment, at least intact to the degree that it is no worse off than giving up inhib. But I think that that's where we want to see Dreamland pushing to keep it. It's just going to be a difficult task for them to do that because they need to find answers against three strong carries in three different lanes.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's getting more desperate the later we go into this one. The gold lead is almost 10,000, and just like that, just a few minutes ago, it was only around 5, but they've doubled it with the last couple of big fight wins that they've been able to secure for bedtime at 7 or bedtime at 1 a.m. as Twitch chat correctly points out over there.
Yeah, getting pretty late here, but I think that this game is about ready to reach its conclusion. We'll see if the push here is the one to win.
Yeah, there goes Kane into the backline, but Gynecologist gets popped, can't even cast the ultimate, and now that's Inkbrush getting knocked out. He's going to use the Zonias, but I think the Anivia is going to be going down here as well.
Fine
They get a
time for
single
Fiora.
turret. They lose 2. Oh, Fiora in the base. Yeah, looking to take out the Nexus turrets. Does get 1. Kuro here to defend, and Montoya will be pushed back, so a couple more turrets going over. 2 turrets for 2 kills was the trade there.
Probably a good trade here to take for Dreamland, but it's difficult to find a trade that would be considered winning completely because
Yeah.
they're still behind by 9k gold. They've lost a Nexus tower. They're starting to get damage onto their last remaining inhib tower in the top lane. They're just going to need a miracle to pull this one off at this point. They're going to need a few throws coming from the direction of bedtime at 7. And both of these teams have been pretty clean once they get a decisive advantage. So I think that the last Drake fight is going to be the last bastion of hope here for Dreamland.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the last stand before, but now it really, really is the last stand for sure this time. So this will be the Chemsol one way or the other. And it's going to be really tough to even get over there now, though, for Dreamland, considering the fact that they lost their mid and bot inhibitors. Montoya sort of playing bodyguard in the jungle here as well.
Yeah, I don't think they want to allow the next Drake to get stolen like the last one. Even if they can potentially win a team fight off of the back of it, they don't want to give over any potential to give up the soul. I think that even starting this and 50-50ing it would be the wrong call. If you start it, you're looking for the turn here. So that's got to be the game plan in my mind from bedtime at 7. If they can make that happen, I think that they can force a fight and I think they can win it. But they got to make sure not to let the Drake get too low if there's going to be Mons in the area.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the best play would honestly just be to keep control of the area and just take the dragon and then go for the fight afterwards. But they have gone for a reset here with not much time to spare before the dragon spawns. So Dreamland is in the river. They're clearing out some vision right now, looking to take some control for themselves.
In a few of the previous fights, Kuro the Divine has tried to use the Stand United onto a target that ends up dying before he gets there. I think that he wants to be in the area, but here comes the flank.
Yeah, Montoya over the wall, dashing into danger. That's the double knockup, but Montoya gets taken out right at the start of this one. Twitch opening up from the other side of the fight, but he gets jumped on by everybody. They turn on the Twitch. Yumi gets taken out. Ginger Ninja's going to be next, but Anivia looking to carry this one now. Inkbrush doing a whole lot of damage. And on the other side of the fight, Kane does get taken out. It's Inkbrush, the last man standing for bedtime at 7. And a huge fight win for Dreamland. They're going to pick themselves up the Chemtech Soul. They could even look for Baron after. They got to protect the base, though. The super minions are closing in on their last remaining Nexus Tower. I think that's 2 supers stacked up as well. So got to get back there and clear those out.
Yeah, they're not going to end the game, though. Then it's going to be time to respond. What a play from Dreamland to be able to set up a winning fight from what seemed like a dead-loss situation. They're able to get Debbie in the right place. They're able to get the kill onto Ginger Ninja and shut down Asylum speedrun. And this time, the split-up fight ends up working in favor of Dreamland. I didn't think there was ever going to be a point where they won team fights on 2 different sides because I thought to myself, they only have the 1 damage dealer. But no,
right.
this Trinity Force, Ravenous, Hydra, and Vi is actually able to do work.
Yeah, definitely. Mons with the bruiser build on the Vi here. It's not Sunder, it's Trinity Force. So he's got the attack speed. He definitely packs a punch on the Vi. And we really saw it in that last one for sure. It's great that you pointed that out. Able to secure the Chemtech Soul and the Baron now. And Dreamland, the gold doesn't really matter anymore. I mean, it was a 10,000 lead earlier for Bedtime at 7. Now it's only 3,000. Again, those numbers are pretty meaningless at this point, but it just goes to show, it's a way of sort of tracking how much of a comeback we're witnessing right now from Dreamland.
Yeah, I think they've still got a long way to go, but it might only end up
He's going to
needing
assist
one
on
more
the
fight.
Anivia. Inkbrush going to get taken out right at the start of this one. He has the passive, and now a Twitch is flashing forward, but the hook is going to bring the Iceberg back in. Ninja trying his best, but he's not quite able to carry the fight. Inkbrush, though, still alive, actually, on the other side. Vi underneath the turret is going to get taken out. Now it's just Blitzcrank fighting the Vi right now, or the Anivia, excuse me, and Inkbrush wins that every time. And Dreamland, they won the last fight, but they lose this one, as Bedtime at 7 picks up 4 and only lose 2, and now they are the ones pushing down mid.
Yeah, I think they might have an opportunity to end here. Kuro the Divine can try to clear out waves, can try to buff them up with this Baron buff, but has to find a way to survive. This one tower left is the only hope of Kuro the Divine. Gotta clear out this wave, but I don't think it can happen.
I don't think it can either. Yeah, the Shen doesn't have much in the way of wave clear. He does have a Baron buff to buff up his own minions to try and buy time, but not anymore as he gets taken out as Kayn dives in the backline. And it took them quite a while, but Bedtime at 7 will finally take the second Nexus and secure their place in the grand finals of the Noxus division.
Yeah, and they say goodnight, sweet dreams to Dreamland, who will be going into the bottom side of the bracket. They're going to be immediately into the semifinals, so they're going to have the opportunity to come back up, give us a back to the sleepy time finals. But this match was anything but sleepy time. It was so eventful. There was so much blood from both sides. They were both playing super aggressively. And that last game, 42 minutes, all of them on the edge of my seat. What a way to finish this series, and a well-deserved victory for Bedtime at 7.
Yeah, absolutely. They had to work for this one for sure, but they were able to make it happen in the end. Very well done from them. I'm just trying to fix the score over on the stream right now. But I mean, you guys all know what the score was. It was Bedtime at 7, 2-1. They were able to clutch it out in the end. Who's your MVP for this last game, Tiger? Who would you look towards on the Bedtime squad?
I think that it has to be given over to your gynecologist again, because I think that the fights being split up in the mid game, putting so much pressure in different areas. I mean, Inkbrush had a really good game too on the Anivia, but I think that the mid game fights were so dependent on the way that your gynecologist played them out that the game would have looked entirely different if it wasn't perfectly executed. I thought throughout the series, your gynecologist probably going to be the overall MVP, but there was a lot of players in this series on both teams really that deserve recognition. So well played to everyone in this match, pretty much.
100%. Yeah, it was some super entertaining League of Legends to watch, no doubt about it. But in the end, there can only be one winner, and Bedtime at 7 claims that title for their own. I'm with you for the Inkbrush vote here for Game 3. There were a lot of clutch moments, I think, for that Anivia, and really, pulled out a number of team fights that were looking very dicey for the side of Bedtime. But do you have any closing thoughts on tonight's match, Tiger? Anything else you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I think that there were some really strange drafting decisions by both teams, but I really appreciated them showing what they were doing with them. The Game 1 draft, I think, from Dreamland ended up not being able to show what it could possibly do, but all the other drafts that I thought were somewhat strange, we saw their strengths, we saw their weaknesses also acknowledged by the other teams and played to the strengths of their own comps, to the weaknesses of the other comps. And this is all that I hope for in a series of League of Legends. So great job by both teams, and congratulations to Bedtime at 7.
Absolutely. Now, thank you for sticking with us till the end, everybody. We appreciate all of you watching out there on Twitch chat. That is going to do it from us tonight. I'm sure we'll have some more games very soon as the playoffs do continue. We're closing in towards the end of these brackets, though. We will be getting into the best of fives for the grand finals. Going to start wrapping up some of these divisions. But I don't have any specific dates or times for you right now. Just stay tuned. Make sure you don't miss any more of the postseason action. But from myself, from Tiger, from the entire production team at Style Esports, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great night.